A very good morning to all. We will be starting the session at 10 sharp. So I think we can still wait for 3 minutes. So more people can join in and then we can start. All right. Thank you. Neetaji, please mute yourself. Neetaji, again requested to please switch off your mic. A very good morning and a warm welcome to all the participants today, experts, teachers. You all are being holding fort even during the COVID times. So a big congratulations and stay safe and stay well. So with this thought, I welcome you all on this training. This training is special in itself because this is the first time we are trying to involve assessment into training. So after the training gets over, you will have to go through the assessments and only then the certification will happen. So I would request all of you to please be very careful when you are sitting and watching the sessions, because it's not just watching, you have to learn the knowledge also. So now officially I welcome you all to all the participants who are watching us on Gmeet and YouTube. I am Dr. Swati Gupta. I am Deputy Secretary Skill Unit Delhi East, which is situated in Patparganj. And I just want to say a few lines about fashion studies, that I have almost 10 years in CBSE with association with fashion and textiles courses. And when I came, I saw that these courses were somehow, not developed in a way that it should have been. So my first priority was, since I'm from Lady Irwin and my background is in fashion, that I should do something for my course. And hence we started working on development of the courses and books and curriculum and sample papers. I think many of you would be a part of our journey for last 10, 11 years. So I feel that fashion is one of those dynamic subjects which can actually, change uh, itself according to the times. Even in the COVID times, we were able to make clothing. That is so good. We were able to give clothing to people to wear. Otherwise, we all would be, wearing 10 years old kapre. So that is what fashion is all about. That is what this particular area is all about. It is so dynamic. So I also feel that this is the second most GDP earning sector, and we should give it that kind of importance. We should give us new skills. We should teach our students new skills. We should make them into an entrepreneurs and an icons of tomorrow. So with this thought, I welcome you all. And we are awaiting Yadavji to join in. So before he does, I will introduce other experts of mine. So today we have Dr. Mona Suri ma'am. She was Associate Professor at Formal Academic Vice President of Royal University for Women, Bahrain, and former reader from Lady Indian College, Delhi, India. She is also Principal Fellow of Higher Education Academy, UK, with a teaching experience of more than 33 years in India and Bahrain. Dr. Mona has been teaching both at undergraduate and postgraduate levels. She completed her studies in fabric and apparel science from Lady Haven College, Delhi University, India. She has been actively involved in research and teaching and has successfully supervised 6 PhDs and 45 master's students, including mine. My dissertation was also, under ma'am, and she has many publication, presentation, and awards to her credit. So with this words, I request Mona ma'am to please come online and say a few words about fashion studies and how she sees its future in India. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Dr. Swati. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. It's indeed a pleasure to be back here.
Good morning.
Hi,
Good
Himanshi.
morning.
With
Good
some
morning,
of
ma'am.
my students.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, everybody. It's indeed a pleasure, and I'm coming back to India after almost 13 years, and it's a very pleasant surprise when I see this fashion studies as one of the courses that has been added at the school levels. When I was leaving at that time, the move was on, but all this happened while I wasn't here. And as I was going through the content of the course and what all is being covered, personally, I am extremely happy because of the fact that I strongly believe that students actually who are keen in this subject should get an exposure from the beginning. So my congratulations to Dr. Swati Gupta and the team at CBSE, Dr. Bishwajit Saha and other team members, who have made it possible. And I just think that, when you are teaching these subjects at the school level, the students have an opportunity to take it further in their career, in their studies. Vertically, they can go and they can probably join some BA program, not necessarily fashion design. It could also be like something related to fashion management. It could be a basic business course that they could do, because I think fashion industry today is not limited only to designing. There are a lot of other things which are available. And you, as the teachers who are guiding them and who are supervising them, it is your responsibility to ensure that they get these options are visible to them, And if they are interested and they take it up as a career path for a later time, there are huge opportunities available in the industry where they can join at different levels. And with this, the national education policy, which is emphasizing the skill development so much, I think this is just the right program where students could do a lot and they could be entrepreneurs. They can open up their own businesses, because believe me, times to come, fashion is going to stay. So this is something that is not going to change. Maybe the form, the format, and other things might be changing. But I think fashion as an industry is going to be here for long. And my heartiest congratulations to all of you for doing this wonderful job together. And, just motivating students to do something really good that I think we all are passionate about. I'm proud to be an urbanite. I'm proud to be a person who's associated with fashion design. And to me, fashion design is more than design. It is more functionality. And that is something which makes us different from others. So with these words, I just want to say thanks to the organizers, especially to Dr. Swati Gupta for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
So much, ma'am, for your kind words. Now I would request introduce Shweta Kindra, ma'am. Dr. Shweta Kindra Kalra is is working as assistant professor and head of design department of the College of Art and Design, Royal University of Women Kingdom of Bahrain. With her PhD and Masters in Textiles and Clothing and additional degree in Masters in Education from University of Delhi, Dr. Shweta comes with nearly 25 years of experience in the field of fashion and textile design. She also obtained certificates in computer-aided designing and manufacturing from reputable institutions. Recently, Dr. Shweta has also received a fellowship certificate from Higher Education Academy, UK. So, ma'am, please come on the line and please say a few words of encouragement to our teachers and also what you see of fashion studies in future.
Thank you, Dr. Swati, and good morning, everyone. It's lovely to see and back to be associated with CBSE. So thank you for having this opportunity of sharing my experience. I think Dr. Mona has said a lot about this course as fashion studies. So good to see you, ma'am, after a long time. So, so I think so, Dr. Swati, fashion studies, and even the colleagues who are here today, and the attendees who are attending this workshop. First of all, fashion is something which will always remain. It will have a bright future. I always believe food, shelter, clothing. Clothing is a basic need which will always remain, and it has a bright future. However, I just feel that we should always be ready with the tools in our shed. We should know how to adapt to this changing global, ever-changing environment. So, we need to train ourselves and update ourselves with what is happening in the world around. And keeping in mind the technology, new techniques, and exposing our students to something which is upcoming, we need to be with that vision with us. And yes, fashion, yes, definitely will never go down. It always has a bright future. It depends upon our vision of how to take it ahead. It is how we want to make a future of fashion. So definitely, the kind of students you meet, and fashion studies being a vocational course, it has a future. They go into different kind of universities and other vocational program, and it is just that we need to teach them these skills of adapting it to the future needs and also the current needs. So yes, it has an amazing future. So thank you everyone for giving me this opportunity. Thank you to Dr. Swati for giving me this opportunity to interact with everyone. I just reached into my campus, so maybe my connectivity at this time may not be the best. So thank you once again, and hope to interact with you on day 3. Thank you.
Swati, just unmute.
Sorry. Thank you, Shweta ma'am, for your kind words, and we'll definitely meet you on Friday. The whole day, ma'am is going to be teaching us about portfolio making and submissions. So that I think will be something new. And of course, we would love to see ma'am's campus also, because she has not shown us that. All right. Thank you so much, ma'am. And hello, Gagan. The next expert is Miss Gagandeep Kaur. She is working as PGT Fashion Studies for almost 16 years. Now it has been almost a decade. When I was talking about my journey in CBSE with fashion, I think it won't be right to say that it wasn't possible if Gagan and Mona and other people wouldn't have been there. They were always there, ready to accept work. So thank you, Gagan, for that. And it has been almost a decade, she's rightly saying. So, and I must say that something about her is she's so affable and she's so kind-hearted. She always say yes to anything that is given to her, even if it is at 10 o'clock in the night. So with this, Gagan, please take up the mic session.
Thank you so much, Dr. Swati, for kind words, and good morning, everyone. I think Dr. Shweta and Mona ma'am have already said, I think we, the teaching fraternity, share the same opinion about our subject, and we feel so passionate about it. So I'll just add something that I myself teaching this subject from last 16 years. So I feel our subject, fashion studies, it's actually helping children to develop a new age creative aptitude. And the aim of the subject is to nurture this unique identity. So definitely we know that India would always need budding designers. And here CBSE is playing a pivotal role by updating the subject every year by leaving no stone unturned. So yes, definitely the subject is important, and CBSE is definitely helping, and more actions every year have been taken, and children are equipped to deal with the dynamic society. So yes, all of us together have to work towards our subject and help to grow the subject more and more by leaps and bounds. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Dr. Swati, over to you, please.
Sorry, the net just went for a few more seconds. Thank you, Gagan. And as I was saying, we are awaiting the joining from our regional director, Mr. J.K. Yadav. I think Sir has joined, so a big welcome to Sir. And I must introduce him. He's Mr. J.K. Yadav ji. He is the regional director of Delhi East. He looks after all the schools in the eastern region of Delhi, or the jurisdiction, and the foreign schools. It is an honor working under him. He is so kind-hearted and generous. And if I go with any work, it is done in minutes. So with that, sir, please do come online and talk about fashion studies, skill education per se, and what do you think about those, sir? Thank you. You need to unmute. Unmute, sir.
Good morning to all. As on this very short notice, I had to join this meeting. I was trying from my computer, but it was not going through. So, as it was informed that this is a program for workshop for fashion studies course, you must be aware that board has started many skill subjects. Even now at secondary level also, we are having some skill subjects. There are many subjects in senior secondary level. So fashion studies is one of that. And it is the most popular subject after hotel management, mass media. So fashion studies is also having a craze nowadays. You must be aware that, and as per the board policy, since skill education is a new avenue for the students besides the traditional subjects, because most of the students prefer medical, engineering, but after that, skill is one of the most opportunist branch, and we are trying to get it in higher education also, so that candidates studying up to senior secondary level will get chances to study the skill subjects at higher education. Fashion studies, hotel management, mass media, it is already in the higher education. So to promote among the students, it is our duty to make them aware the avenues of the skill courses, so that more and more students be familiar about that and opt for these subjects. Because medical, engineering and other such older traditional subjects are now getting saturated. So for new opportunities, the students should be motivated to opt for vocational skill subjects. With this, I request to please carry on this workshop, and with the discussion, certainly the board will also be helpful in organizing such more workshops. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your kind words and being here on such a short notice. It is very well appreciated by all of us. So now that we have, moved to the second level of our inaugural session, I again thank all my experts for being present today. Today's session is majorly will be taken by Mona ma'am, Dr. Mona Suri, and after that by Gagan Deep Kaur. And tomorrow again Gagan will be with us, and then I will take the session. So I have not introduced myself. I'm going to be the resource person for tomorrow as well. I'll be talking about the sustainable fashion. So thank you so much. But before we go any further, it's a small request to all the participants who have joined us on Gmeet or watching us on YouTube. All the registered participants who have registered through your email IDs, please make sure you remember your email IDs and you keep on checking your email IDs, because we are going to be sending your assessment cum attendance form on that email ID. So after the session gets over, you will have a 2 hours time to complete your assessment, and please take assessment very seriously, because it is going to be based on your sessions that are taken by the experts, and only after the successful qualification, that is 60% of getting 60% correctness in your assessment form, will only make you eligible for certification. So if tomorrow you don't get a certificate, then it will be really sad for me to say that then you have not successfully completed your assessments. So this is very important point. All the registered candidates of fashion studies course who are teaching fashion studies will get their assessment and attendance link. Other people are most welcome to join in. If you want to know more about the subject, please stay with us for 3 days. Maybe you like the subject and you start offering it in your school. So that is a very good point. And knowledge is always, you need to know things before you start implementing it. So please stay with us on the YouTube, on the Gmeet. And now I can ask the experts to please start with the session. It's already 10:20. So ma'am, Dr. Mona Suri ma'am, please take up the session now.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Swati. Thank you, Mr. J.K. Yadav, for, encouraging all the faculty members who are teaching this subject at the school level. It is indeed my pleasure to be here today. So I will have a presentation, which I'm going to start. Let's set the rules in place first. I know that we are almost 56 of us in this session. Please feel free to stop. Please feel free to add wherever you think you need to add something more to what I'm saying. I very strongly believe, as Dr. Swati has just said, that knowledge is always cumulative. So obviously what you are teaching at the school level to different students is something that even I would like to know through this interactive session. So unlike a webinar, it's a Google Meet where we are all meeting, we are all sharing good practices. I'm going to tell you some of the things which I feel should be done at the school level. But if you have some other points to make, probably just raise your hand and briefly talk about it. It will be more than welcome. Right? And it is really a pleasure to see so many familiar faces around. And as a teacher, I am extremely proud, of my students who are now doing this wonderful job of being in the teaching fraternity and making a difference in the lives of the students. Because I think the school level students, you are touching them a big way. And thank you for doing that, for all these years. So I will start on this note with everybody. I'm going to share a presentation and because I think it's always, being a teacher, it's always better, when you have something. Yeah. Mansi, could you please mute yourselves?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Thank you, dear. Thank you. So we'll just start with that and then we'll take it from there. Now, all right. So can you all see my screen? Yes?
Yes, we can, ma'am.
All right. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
ma'am.
Okay. Now, so basically,
Yes, ma'am.
Today's presentation, which I'm going to give, is going to be primarily on 2 counts. I'll have one section which is talking about the overview of the fashion. And the second section is going to talk about the fibers, yarn, finishing, and dyeing and printing. Again, I repeat, wherever you want to add, just raise your hand, join in, and we will make it a more interactive session. Now, before I start, I just want to put things in some perspective. Now, as I just said earlier, the fashion studies, according to me, is a very critical subject at the school level, because fashion is the mirror of history, but it is also pulse of the present. So as faculty members who are teaching the students, we have to make sure that we are always updated about the events which are happening, what is happening in the art field, in the music field, the creative arts, and so many other things, because fashion trends are very, very sensitive to the environment as to what is happening around them. Again, we see that the fashion studies as a course is in line with the NEP 2022. So we have to make sure that we are keeping that spirit of that national education policy in place as we are teaching. Again, there are a lot of new professions which are available to students after doing this course and after doing some vertical growth, in terms of maybe if they pick up a BA program, or they do some diploma, or they do something related to that. So we need to make sure that we keep the students informed as to where all they can go after they finish their studies, or what are the options available to them. Now, another thing which I very strongly believe as a teacher is that the role of teachers has changed in the last 2 years. All of you will agree with me that post COVID, it is now we are teachers, of course, but we are more like facilitators, because we have seen that the students at the high school level have been exposed to a lot of resources which are available to them, in terms of e-resources, in terms of going out, talking to people, through YouTube, through various other, channels that they have access to. So they can actually take up a lot of independent learning, So we have to ensure that we challenge our students in a way that we ask them to do these things on regular basis, so that their minds are also working, and they are going to tell you something which is latest, which is happening in that particular area. Again, in line with that, I strongly believe, again, I have opinions on these things, that even the modes of assessment need to be changed for the students, so that we challenge them, we ask them to do something related to probably a research project, probably something like a project-based learning. We have to do some essays, some surveys, some swatch files, some portfolios. So again, rather than just having a written question answer session, it is much better to have something where they are applying their minds, they are using their skills to create something which also give them a lot of satiety, And again, it is very important for us as teachers to ensure that we keep our students motivated. I think this, I can vouch for it, that we are all doing wonderfully in the last years as teachers at school level. Now, when we are talking about, just giving you a little background about how I see fashion studies and how I see that things have changed. Now, maybe in the beginning, when we started with our fashion studies, or fashion as an area, the fashion was primarily for self. Everybody was creating fashion for self. But over a period of time, people started designing garments for trade. Like they were doing it for selling purposes. And I remember, like the industries were set up and raw materials were fetched. And at that time, once upon a time, the fashion dolls were used, which were actually shipped from one place to another. And maybe it took about 2 years for the fashion to reach from one place to another. But after that, a lot of technological and manufacturing and transportation and everything has changed in the last few centuries. And we realize that we have the couture and we have the prêt-à-porter. So we have the high fashion, and we have the fashion which is for a day-to-day kind of a fashion, ready to wear fashion. And then we had 2 seasons, at that time. So we had a spring summer, we have our autumn winter. And we had designers like Dior and Patagonia and things like that, and Coco Chanel and all, who were doing these things to create this fashion, so that there was a newness, there was a novelty, and things were pepped up. Now, after that, in the last few decades, from there, we have reached to a stage where we have a fast fashion. Now, rather than 2 seasons, we actually have 52 collections that are released every year. So that means almost a week, there is a new collection. And you have, players like Zara and H&M and other people who are actually making sure that this is going on. And, a lot of fashion is introduced, a lot of fashion garments are introduced in the market. But that again has created a problem of overproduction, And now we look at the other side of fashion industry, where we have a huge problem of dumping and landfills and pollutions and worker rights and things like that. And now we are talking about sustainable fashion, where we have zero waste, we have eco-friendly materials, we have slow fashion, as we call it. And now we are saying that, okay, let's customize the clothes, let's make clothes for self. So life has actually come a full circle, So we have come back to a point where now we want to make fashion for ourselves. We are encouraging people to stitch clothes for themselves, so that there is no dump and there is no wastage and things like that. So fashion studies as a course is actually an overview of all these things that have happened. And we need to make sure that they are kind of kept in mind while we are discussing fashion. Now, my today's presentation with what discussion and what we will be working on will be primarily on a premise that you being teachers are teaching fashion studies from the last n number of years. You know the content very well. So I'm not going to tell you, from that perspective, that what is a fiber and what is a yarn and what is a fashion cycle, but rather I would talk of some new things that have happened in all these areas that can probably, again, you may already be aware of it. You are partially aware of it. You may be more aware than me, in these areas. So please feel free to pitch in and we can just have a good discussion. So I'm going to give these slides as a starting point to say that, okay, these are the things that have happened in the last few years that we as teachers should be aware of, so that while we are teaching our students, we are giving them something new. We are challenging their minds and we are giving them some food for thought, Now for fashion, okay, can I have somebody say what is fashion quickly, just to make it interactive?
Ma'am, fashion is basically a type of style that become famous in everyone. Like everybody can afford that fashion. Basically, style को जब हम affordability of this style in by the everyone is basically
ज़्यादा लोग पहनते हैं, affordable है, and it is for masses, Anybody else who wants to add anything else?
Ma'am, fashion basically is a psychological comfort.
Okay.
There's Abhita from Satish from Chettinad Vidyashram.
Okay, so psychological comfort. Mona, you wanted to add something?
Fashion for me is lifestyle.
Fashion is lifestyle. Okay, Mr. Atindra wanted to say something.
Yes, ma'am, this is only the need of the time.
Okay, yes. So it is based on the need. Yes.
Fashion is ever changing. Represents the social, political, cultural echoes of time.
Okay, so sociability, culture, need.
Ma'am,
if you're talking about a
ma'am, I want to contribute.
Can others please switch off your name? Yeah, yes,
ma'am, I want to contribute. Fashion is very individualistic and very subjective, and it changes from person to person. So you may not. It's very dynamic and it keeps moving. So nothing is permanent in fashion. Yes.
Perfect. So I think with this background of fashion, I think I can stop my presentation right here, because I think you are absolutely dot on. All of you, what you are doing and what you have, the perspective that you have mind is absolutely good. So maybe I just want to add that when we are talking of fashion, I agree it's a lifestyle. I also know that it is something which is a popular style, which is, but again, it is not limited only to clothing. You have fashion in clothing, footwear, accessories, makeup, cuisine, architecture, art. So everywhere when you see around, when a group of people, a large group of people follow something, we say it is fashion. It could also be furniture. It could also be buildings, So basically some kind of a trend, some kind of a style that a person dresses based on their own behavior and their own individuality. So when I'm talking of fashion, I'm talking of me as an individual, and I'm also talking of the environment which is going to impact my fashion in the way that it is going to be different. Now, we have some terminology that I see have been, put in your schedule. So I just I have picked up the terminologies which are comparatively new and which probably may add some more knowledge to what you already have. So in fashion, we have, something what we call as fashion technology. Now, fashion technology is something that primarily focuses on the fabric types and the suitability of the fabric for a particular end use. So that means when I'm talking of fabric, I'm talking of end use, I'm talking about the whole manufacturing process that takes place of a fabric, when you create an apparel. And this is when you use technology to use that, we call it as a fashion technology. So when we are talking about technology, we are talking about all the machinery that is required in fashion making. We are looking at all the pattern making that is required in fashion making. So from fabric to apparel, whatever is required, we kind of classify it as a fashion technology domain. We also have another term that is related to fashion, which we call as a fashion management. Because again, as in my first slide, when I showed you the entire cycle and how the fashion is, affecting all of us, we realize that it needs a lot of management, right from the time when you are procuring your material, rather right from the time when you are conceptualizing a design, you are procuring a material, you are deciding on the machinery, you are trying to make it, you are trying to package it, you want to sell it, you want to look at the sizing, you want to look at, which markets are going to be good for them and things like that. We realize that the whole management part of fashion is actually including it includes all these aspects. And over a period of time, you realize that fashion management is actually gaining a lot of importance in addition to designing and merchandising, Now, besides this, we also have some other terms. Of course, we have our fashion cycle. And okay, so fashion cycle, anybody, just raise your hand. It will give me a click and then I will ask one by one, whichever person, rather than everybody talking. No, you can raise your hand on official raise hand, Yane. Okay. Okay, so we have Manjari. Okay, let Manjari say something. Quickly, Yane, one line.
Ma'am, we have to talk about fashion cycle, right, ma'am? So fashion cycle is a cycle where there are dips and there are peak points. There are fads. There are classics and standard style.
Okay.
So
wait, that's it. Somebody else, Yane. What is a fashion cycle? Quickly.
Fashion cycle is basically where the fashion introduced. The first point is introduction of the fashion in the market. Then it will be rises. Basically, किस तरह से everybody can one person afford, everybody can watch it and applying it on it. Then it's come to the peak. Then everybody can afford the fashion. Then come to the declining phase, where basically everyone now they look for the new fashion, new change in their style, and after that the fashion will be obsolete from the market, or it is basically deleted from the market.
Thank you, Neha. So that's okay. It's fine. I will take two things at one for one topic.
Fashion is a roller coaster ride.
Sorry?
Fashion is a roller coaster ride.
Roller coaster ride. Okay, so fashion cycle is like a roller coaster.
Yes.
So as we said that, so according to me, the introduction, rise, peak, and everything is the cycle in which the way in which it moves. But for me, this cycle tracks the lifespan of a particular item, So any fashion item that is introduced in the market, how is it is accepted, till what is the popularity of that particular item, and after that, what happens to the item is primarily my fashion cycle. And again, in the textile merchandising industry, this is used in a huge way to see that what is the good time to introduce a new fashion, what is the good time to remove the fashion, what is the good time to probably have a sale where you have, all the old fashion is already sold off at a cheaper rate. So all these things are managed through a fashion cycle. Now, a traditional fashion cycle is like introduction, rise, peak. As you see in the first slide, it's a very normal kind of a curve that you see. But we also have fashion which actually when you introduce, you rise, you peak, and it remains as a peak, for a very long time. What somebody already said is a classic. So it is a style that stays for life. So if I am wearing my blue denims, it is a classic, everybody has been wearing it from times immemorial, and everybody will be wearing it futuristically. Of course, within that, the style might be changing a little bit, but as a material, as a garment, it is something which is like a classic, We also have the fashions which are fast fashions. That means once you introduce, they rise, they peak, and they are there, they quickly die down, and then the new one comes. And then we have the fads, where it is a very quick kind of a fashion cycle, where as soon as your the peak reaches, it immediately drops down, So we have something in fashion, like I have the blue hair. It was like a fad, and suddenly everybody was funky and everybody was funky. But after some time, you realize that things are okay. In today's world, I think the lowlights and highlights that you have in your hair is something which is like a fast fashion. Everybody is going, maybe the colors are changing, but otherwise you see that it is very much in vogue from what we are doing. Now, we also have the recurring fashion, where once the fashion rises, when I came to know that it's a roller coaster, right? So it comes at a peak, it goes down, there is some latent period, and again it comes back, and again this is like a cyclic thing that keeps on going. So we call it as a fashion cycle. We also have pendulum cycles and things like that, where fashion goes and then comes back. So these are different ways in which my fashion can be exhibited when I look at it. Another term that we see in our fashion industry is haute couture. Now, haute couture is primarily a French word that says for dressmaking. So that means when you have couture, that is dressmaking. When you have haute, that means it is high fashion. So these garments are created probably one-off pieces, like a single piece which is customized for you. And they are made for a specific client. So obviously, when these high fashion garments are created, they are very expensive, they are fashionable, and again, they are produced by leading fashion houses. So they are the whole brand value of that particular thing and the whole cost, the price of that thing is extremely high. Again, because they are made customized for you or as an individual, as a client, they are made for specific sizes. They are always limited in number of pieces. So as a result, there is always a kind of uniqueness which is associated with this haute couture garments. So you can see, like, for example, Chanel are releasing these kind of things every now and then based on their fashion seasons. They were in the spring summer 2021 had this kind of a look for the haute couture garments. Now, another term that we also use is something which is prêt-à-porter. So, okay, anybody quickly and raise hand, and then, but I can't see everyone. So if you can officially ping me, then I can actually call people other than the ones that I see on my screen. If you can go to your, okay, anyone. Yes, Mona.
So when we talk about pret-a-porter, these are ready-to-wear garments. They are displayed on the racks in different colors, different sizes, and different price points.
Yes. All right. So that's okay. If I will get one, and then I will just add on something from myself, and then I'll give chance to others as well. Okay. So rightly said that these are the things which are made at the factory level. So when you are making, when you are doing a mass production, Riddhi, you want to add something? Okay. So when you are, these are factory made, they are made in standard sizes. So unlike your haute couture where you are customizing it for yourself or for your client, these are made as standard sizes. They are using standardized patterns. They are using the factory equipment. And again, the construction techniques that are used are very fast, like quick fashion, so that the cost of making these garments is comparatively low. So when I say that, that means the embroideries and the detailing and accessories are comparatively limited, so that you don't have to spend a lot of time making these garments. They are sold in the market as a finished products. So you don't have to do anything, just off the rack, you take it and you can wear it. High volumes are created. Most of these garments that you have are practical, they are informal. So this is like something, the ready to wear collection as we have in the market. And when we talk of fast fashion, this is the one where the crux of the fast fashion lies, Most of the fast fashion actually belongs to this collection of prêt-à-porter. Then we also have another term that we use, which is the collections, So again, when I said that you have your spring, summer and autumn, winter as the fashion seasons. So in every season, there are some collections which are released, So it is basically in high-end fashion or in ready-to-wear fashion. These collections are primarily, introduced as a block of garments. These block of garments which are thematically together, for example, yesterday I was reading an article where, there is the collection that has been made, which is eco-friendly in a way that they are using only the dyes that you get from only the plant sources, So there is something which is common, a common factor is there. And in every fashion week or in every fashion season, these collections are actually introduced and they are showcased for the clients. Again, we have these fashion capitals like your London, New York, Milan, Paris, etc. So there they are, the fashion shows which are held or the fashion week that is held, they are introduced there as fall, winter, spring, summer, and they are introduced to the clients, and then based on that, more garments and other things could also be created. Then another thing that we have is my Avant Garde. So, okay, anyone, what is Avant Garde? Somebody different than Mona and Margabandhu? Somebody else? Rachna, you want to say something?
Something.
Wait,
Yes, ma'am,
Rachna,
it is,
something. Wait, Rachna can unmute yourselves. I can see her speaking. Yeah,
Sorry.
Yeah, tell me.
Ma'am, unconventional and ahead of its time.
Very good. Riddhi? Quick words.
Something which is very different, unique, and which is a non-wearable, not for a daily wear.
Okay, something, it's the concept, Yes, Atindra?
Yes, ma'am. It is something innovative and too much creative, and it just shows the path for the future design. It is just a path to show.
Right.
Okay. So it is something innovative and abstract. It is abstract also.
Okay, that's all right. I'll ask these people one by one as well. Arunima?
Yes, ma'am. Highly creative, but probably not practical.
Okay, not practical. All right. So, Shweta, you
Ma'am,
want to add something?
forward-looking movement animation by innovative designers.
Okay, formal looking, innovated. Okay, fine. So this is, so broadly what we have said based on what all you have added is that it is something which is not wearable. It is more like a concept, you know. You are just introducing to the fashion world something to say that this is different. This is something futuristic, and it is more like a storyboard, if I may say, you know. So this is not something where we are talking about the details of things, like as you see in figure 2, which is like with this, you know, the concept that is there. It is something which is binding, which is something which is body hugging, but in a different way. So it's abstract. And Avant Garde are probably the exaggerated designs, if I may say so. And they are just made or created to make a statement, right? It is just for the designers to say that, okay, we are different, we are unique, we are forward thinking. So we have come to the fashion, you know, stage. Have a look at us, you know. And after that, they might be having you know, somebody else is presenting. Sorry, Yogi, can you please stop presenting? That's okay. Okay, I'll have to go back to my presentation. 1 second, please. I think I don't have the rights to. I can't present. Can you please somebody?
Ma'am, we can see your screen, ma'am.
Achha, I can't see my screen. Okay, all right.
Ma'am, we also not able to see the screen.
Yeah, can because even I can't see my screen. Can somebody give me the rights to present, please?
Ma'am, you don't need a right. You can just present your screen.
Okay, let me see. Okay, yes, I got it now.
Okay, ma'am. Now it is visible.
Can we all see? Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Visible.
Okay, so we have Avant Garde. So again, as I said, this is just to make a fashion statement, and it is not something which is like a wearable style, but just to show that things are there and things are moving. Then we also have knockoffs, which have again become extremely popular, you know, in the last few years. Anybody knockoff? I just need 2 comments, Yani, quickly. No, not Mona, somebody else. Somebody new.
Ma'am, can I
try? Yes, Rachna.
So knockoffs are basically line for line copies of the original style.
Ma'am, wait, I will ask Deepika, just wait for a minute. Sorry, Rachna, carry on, please.
Yeah, they are line for line copies of the original design.
Yes, ma'am.
So the designer, whatever design he creates, if the masses are liking that style, so quickly the manufacturers, local manufacturers, they develop these knockoffs for the masses.
Right.
So they're available at a cheaper price. With the size variation.
Perfect. One line, everybody, because I don't want explanation. Then I don't have to say anything. You know, leave something for me also. But just give the highlight. You know, what comes to your mind quickly when you say knockoffs. Deepika, anything you want to add?
Ma'am, cheap quality materials are used.
Shweta Gupta, you want to add anything to this?
Ma'am, they tend to be sold at the lower price than the original.
Sold at lower price. Navneet?
Ma'am, it is not the same as buying fake designers.
Yes, it is not the fake design. The other designers are legitimately creating it. Yes. Navneet, you want to add anything to that?
No, ma'am. Thank you. It's also replicas.
Okay, these are
replicas.
well, there is a difference, you know, like between a knockoff and a replica. A replica is something where you have a design, and you know some other organization or some other manufacturer is creating a copy, yani, you know, a fake copy, which is like a plagiarized kind of a design what we have. That means, you know, like somebody can sue you for say that you are creating a design which is not original and this is my design, you know. Whereas when you talk of knockoffs, they are not exactly the same, you know. They have just made a little change in their design so that the copyright issues are not there. I mean, they are involved, you know, there are a lot of, you know, like legal battles that are happening. But technically, knockoffs are new designs which are similar to the ones which were, you know, haute couture or Avant Garde or a very high fashion design. So as you can see in the images that I have shared with you, so here you can see the design that the the fabric, the combination of fabric, what we have here and what we have in this dress is very similar, but at the same time different. Again, if you look at the shoes which are there, so the Jimmy Choo shoes, as you see, which are sold for something like $750, it is something which is sold at $95, and you can see that the look is very similar, but maybe there is some slight variation that is there. Similarly, even this, the Campbell shoes that you have, and look at the price. Look at the McQueen purses and look at what has been created. Obviously, you know, when you look at it, it doesn't speak of the class and it doesn't speak of, you know, the high-end fashion per se, but it is something which is affordable. So again, when the copies of these designers are made, these are kind of plagiarized with some changes which are there, so nobody can take a legal action against you. These are low quality fabrics, low quality trimmings. They are cheaper, they are easily available. So again, from a consumer point of view, for me, sometimes when I see a garment for $800, it sounds a little too much, Yane, you know, for the kind of things which is there. So it is making fashion affordable for the people who are not able to take the garments which are extremely expensive. Because I think all of you will agree to me that many of these branded things which are high fashion garments are actually extremely overpriced, you know. And by the way, we have a similar thing happening even for wedding lehengas and so many other things, that these are available and these are called as the knockoffs. Again, there is a huge debate which goes on to say whether having a knockoff is a good idea or a bad idea for the industry and for the consumer. And we can talk about it at a later stage as well. Then we also have a term what we call as design. So for me, design, when I talk of design, it's two components, aesthetics and functionality of the design. Aesthetics primarily is the adornment. So you are making a design for something because it looks beautiful. So the visual impact of the design is important. And then it just appeals to some specific set of senses, you know. So when I look at the design, which is very beautiful, I just say that yes, aesthetically it is very beautiful. But I have a whole new branch of designing, which is my functional design, where it is a design with a purpose. I don't know if you are aware that, you know, very recently NIFT has been working towards these camouflage garments, you know, that have been created for the Indian Army and the Indian Navy, for the forces, you know. And they have created these camouflaged garments which are bulletproof, which are something which is good quality, and they will be able to protect our soldiers in a much better way. So that means while you are designing this, it is a design with a purpose, you know. So it may or may not be aesthetically beautiful, but definitely the functionality is there. So in this case, that means your efficiency becomes another important aspect. The problem solving becomes a very important aspect. Like, for example, when I worked for my PhD, I was working for the workers, clothing for the workers in pesticide industry. So I had a purpose that I want to protect the workers from the ill effects of pesticide. So I designed the garments, I designed the fabric in a way that it was water and oil repellent and it was pesticide repellent. So that is the functional part of design. So as it's written here, that the utilitarian part of it takes preference over aesthetics, and it becomes, like a design garment from that perspective. Now, the fashion supply chain primarily moves in a way which I think all of you are aware, that you have your manufacturing. So here your suppliers are there, they produce the products. So by the way, in order to do the manufacturing, there is another step which is before this step, which is the designing step, you know. So the fashion design is created, your patterns are created, then the manufacturing happens as a mass produce. Then your retailing happens, which again the garments from supplier are moved to the retail sector. Now these retailers could be buyers or they could be just traders. And then there might be some fashion brand owners or maybe some designers. And then the orders are placed and then these garments go out to the consumers once they purchase it. So this is the basic cycle of the fashion supply chain which happens. And while the garments are moving from manufacturer to the customer, of course, the money is moving from the customers back to the supplier. And that is how the whole supply chain works. Now, there are a lot of factors, which we have seen have affected fashion. And when I asked you about what is fashion, many of you actually talked about these factors as well. Somebody said that it is individuality. Somebody said that it is psychological comfort. Somebody talks about some global issues, sustainability. So these are a lot of things which are there. So maybe I will just pick up some of the ones which are to me, they are important, I mean, all of them are important, but I will just highlight some of them. And I would welcome, if you have some comments regarding them as well. So the basic factors that affect fashion could be events, celebrities, economic factors, psychological, social, so forth and so on. Now, in the year 2021, we realized it was the year of crisis because of COVID. And the COVID as an event, as a pandemic, actually impacted the fashion in a huge way, So we can see that the garments and even now the fashion shows which are happening now, for this 2022, there is an impact of some kind of a, COVID, which is still happening. You can see Burberry creating these kind of masks. You can see that, the garments which are there are more protective rather than, aesthetic. And you can also see that there is a definite, in the back of the mind for everybody, it is a theme that has been going on for a lot of these fashion shows. By the way, many of these fashion shows, when we talk about that, were not held in person. But again, through technology, there were a lot of virtual shows that were happening. There were a lot of fashion weeks that were happening virtually. And one myth that has come off the fashion industry is that fashion is something which is to see and to touch and to feel, Now people are appreciating fashion even when there is no touch and feel involved, So through that, we see that this is one thing which is important as an important event. Then again, as a year of crisis, if I may say, in last 2 years, there was a lot of, from the Indian perspective, if I talk, there was a lot of online domination of things which were happening, lot of events were happening online, lot of fashion shows were happening online, and people were still, I mean, as Dr. Shweta said earlier, that the agility which the fashion industry showed is amazing, things were still moving on, like at all quarters. There was also a huge, appeal for vocal for local. So again, because the supply chains were disrupted and, things were not coming, raw materials were not coming. So the local things became extremely important. And in that, the various platforms like Amazon and, Reliance and, all these things played a critical role where they were trying to promote the local products more. There was a boom for sustainability, of course, Yani, because again, the whole problem of COVID and other things and the fallout of everything was somewhere related to the sustainability aspect. The styles were changing. I mean, rather than formals and other things, we realized that casuals were coming in, comfort took care of everything else. A lot of fashion was actually then being futuristic, because what was happening within that time was not highlighted that much. The digital format actually supported a lot of small brands. I don't know if you have noticed that many of the young entrepreneurs, they were promoting their products on platforms like on social media, like Instagram and other places. They were getting orders and they were sustaining themselves, And e-commerce flourished hugely. And, what we could never imagine, buying garments online. Now everybody is buying things online, whether it's like a t-shirt or a kurta or earlier there was a thing to say only standardized sizes and, standard brands, but now everybody is buying everything online, So these were like some of the things, in the one of the event that actually impacted, the fashion industry. Again, the events like Cannes Film Festival, we have all your red carpet events, Oscars and other things, Globe Awards, etc. They always are the ones which lead fashion in a huge way. Then celebrities also impact fashion a lot. So you have, I mean, I love Lady Diana, so that's why I picked up as a iconic celebrity. So you can see that, how she had impacted fashion for whether it is like a formal wear or it is a casual wear, or even when we are talking about the styles of Meghan Markle with Lady Diana, there is always a comparison, like the iconic thing that she has been there and what she has created as a brand image is something which is going to be there for centuries to come. Again, celebrities also impact, the fashion in a way that what they wear, masses start wearing. What they endorse in terms of their designers and the kind of styles, people wear that. And like, for example, Kate Middleton, when she wore this beautiful Sarah Burton creation, a lot of weddings after that had a similar style, Similarly, when Priyanka Chopra, during her wedding, what she wore, from a Ralph Lauren creation is something which again was very uniquely done with a long train. So it was something which everybody appreciated. Sabyasachi Mukherjee is like no introductions and nothing to say, because I don't know, last few weddings that I have attended have exactly the same look, you know. So whether you look at Anushka Chopra and you look at Deepika, I mean, their looks are very similar. And you look at other people, if you look at even our own weddings in the families, you realize that they are wearing something which is a copy of a Sabyasachi collection, and their makeup and their hairstyling and jewelry is just the same, you know. So, I mean, the point I'm trying to make is that the celebrities impact fashion in a huge way, and whether we like it or not, it happens in a big way. There are a lot of economic factors also. So we are all aware of the great recession that happened from 2007 to 2009, where the apparel industry was hugely impacted, you know, because during the recession time, there is always a diminished consumer spending. When consumers don't spend, then there is a decline in the production and in the international trades. And then, you know, the sales are reduced, and suddenly the whole retail cycle, which we talked about, is hampered, you know. So that created a problem. But again, the wealthiest shoppers still bought the luxury goods. So just like you have your classic and you have your fad and you have your fashion, the luxury goods is something like a classic, you know. Whether there is recession or there is like a lot of booming economy, they still get sold, because people who have the money, irrespective of what is happening, they will keep on buying that. Similar thing was seen even in COVID times, because of lockdowns, because of loss of jobs. People were working from home. I mean, the general sentiment was that people were not buying too many clothes, you know. It is only now when the things are opening up, people are shopping with a vengeance, you know. Do you all agree with that? Anybody who would like to add to this part of how COVID has changed our clothing preferences? One line each, please. I mean, for me, I can say that, you know, when I look at people around me, they are all in casuals, you know. They are all, rather, casual is also a very nice word to say. They are all in their pajamas and shorts. And, you know, suddenly you feel that, I mean, there is nothing left, you know, to buy, and just to buy some more lowers and some more t-shirts and some more chappals, you know. So anybody else who can just add on to that would like to say something? No? Okay. So we go with the facts.
I can add something. It's kind of funny, but I thought I should just put it.
Sure.
COVID has changed my perception of clothing completely.
Yes.
Earlier, I would just talk and hoard things, you know, best sarees for this occasion and suits for this occasion. But after COVID, I realized that life is so short. Keep on wearing whatever you have. So now I start wearing all my bridal sarees and my bridal suits to office. And, you know, and when somebody just sneers because this is a government office, I say, life is too short.
Okay. Yes.
Hello.
Exactly. मतलब हमारा एक पर्सपेक्टिव बदल गया. जो हमारे पास इतना कुछ था, हमें लग रहा है कि उसको यूज करा जाए rather than hoarding more things,
exactly,
and not wearing them. And also, I don't know, मतलब I realized, you also realize, introspect, you know, when I say general sentiment, you also start thinking, actually, what all do you need in life, you know?
Exactly.
When you have, you know, like if the people are not around, you know, I mean, when you look at it from that perspective, you feel that all this is very frivolous, you know. So, I mean, the way we have started thinking in our lives have changed big way, right?
Ma'am, one more thing. The touch and feel and wearing it, look at how you look when you wear that. That was missing when you buy online. No?
Yes.
Feeling the texture, I mean, how the silhouette looks on you. No, even
Yes.
if you're buying a footwear, look at how it looks on a mirror and then finalizing whether you want. The touch and feel had gone.
But you know, during the COVID times when you could not go out and you could not buy, so उन्होंने क्या किया, आपके जितने जो e-platforms हैं, उन्होंने उसमें बोला कि उसकी aerial view, top view, side view, detailing, so that आपको अच्छे से दिख जाए वो क्या चीज आप buy कर रहे हो. उसके बाद उन्होंने बोला कि ठीक है, we agree, जब आपके पास आएगा, maybe size सही नहीं है, maybe आपको वो look पसंद नहीं आई, so there is always an option to exchange, you know. So all these things have made our life easy, that now we are more confident in buying our clothing and accessories online rather than what we were 2 years before, you know. So I think from that perspective, I think e-commerce has picked up a lot. Maybe कई चीजों में browsing ज़्यादा हुई है, actual purchase कम हुई है. But
I'd also like to add something, ma'am.
Please, बोलो
Yeah, I think I mean, we of course did not, spend a lot of time on buying clothes because we were not going out. But many people also worked on changing their interiors or improving their spaces at home because they were working from home.
Yes.
So there was a lot of buying because as we talk about fashion in totality, including everything, I mean, not just clothes, but everything around. So I think that sector really gained prominence. People spent a lot on getting more plants and decorating their spaces. And also a lot of skincare and beauty products were also browsed through because it was about having a lot of time at hand and
Right. I think
working on things.
people came back with a new look, हमारे भी यूनिवर्सिटी में
Yeah,
जब हम थे तो मतलब
yeah.
suddenly जब 6 महीने बाद देखा तो they were
या
slimmer,
हाँ वो
quicker.
कपड़ों के भी नहीं हुआ पर और चीजों पे बिकॉज जिसकी
हाँ, और
टेंडेंसी
चीजों में.
है टू browse, to spend, to look around, to be creative and to
Yeah.
be associated with all beauty, the person
No,
who's creative
yes.
bent of mind would just go and browse those
Yeah,
things.
and I think from another perspective, people also gained a lot of skills for themselves. I know my son finished his LLM, during the COVID times because he said, let me utilize the time, कोर्ट नहीं चल रहे हैं, so let's just add on. So
Yeah.
मतलब एक लोगों को एक अपने बारे में सोचने का और अपने environment के बारे में
Yeah,
सोचने का
and
एक मौका
skills
मिला.
like music and all also were
Yes.
also picked up by many people.
Yes, I agree, Anne. I agree. So that was one thing that we said that events impact your this thing, and what is happening around you impacts fashion in a big way. Then there is also the psychological factor, like which decides about like for example, who am I? There are some people who are very like happy wearing things which are absolutely fashionable, even if they look very outlandish. But then there are other set of people who are more comfortable in terms of like in comfort of the fabrics. So again, the psychological comfort that you get is very different. That is one of the factors that decides about the fashion. कि जब हमने शुरू में बात करी, जब jeans थी, जो skin tight jeans थी, they were actually physically uncomfortable, but they were psychologically comfortable because when I wear that, I belong, to the whole group of people. So that is again something as a factor which impacts fashion in a big way. Style versus comfort. Who am I? My individuality, if I may say so. Again, individuality versus conformity is another clue that we say that, when we say these are the factors which impact fashion. Because again, some people who are absolutely individual, individualistic, they don't mind wearing what they wear, and you realize that they carry them also very well. By the way, for Ranveer Singh, urbanites might be knowing that Natasha Gaurav is her stylist, and she's the one who's creating all these beautiful garments for him. Of course, Ranveer Singh carries it with a lot of poise and that kind of a thing. But this is something again which impacts fashion hugely. So if you have people, whereas when you have your conformity, like when you have uniforms that are worn by the doctors, the uniforms that are worn at the schools, and so they also decide as to how fashion is going to change, right? So these are like some of the things which we see.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Impact fashion.
Ma'am,
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Ma'am, could you just tell me who's Ranveer Singh's stylist? Natasha Gaurav.
Natasha Gaurav. Yes, she was from Lady Irwin College.
Okay,
she was
thank you,
my student as well, right? So, so this is something that we can see. By the way, why I'm talking about all these things is that when I'm talking about, like careers at a later stage, these are the things which are not thought of, but they are now available for the students. So I will come to that a little later. Now, besides that, again, history has been ever inspiring, so I don't have to say anything about that. So if I'm wearing a top today like this, I'm reminded of the ruffs, which were there earlier. So everything that you wear somewhere or the other is inspired by history, and secondly by nature. I mean, these are two overarching inspirations for fashion, which impact fashion in a big way and which change the course of fashion for all civilizations, which are there. Then we also have fashions which are cultural appropriateness is there. So like, for example, I was in Bahrain for 13 years, and I realized that if you see like the second image that we have, the girls and the women there, or even for that matter, the men are hugely fashionable. But there are, we have something what we call as a modest fashion, which they have to follow because of their culture specific needs which are around. But if you see them, believe me, in no way they look less fashionable than anybody in there as a counterpart in US, UK, or any other country, Rather, what I feel that their skills in coordinating fashion is much higher than the skills that probably we have. Like, for example, in an Indian scenario, if I have to wear a sari, a fashionable sari, I'll have a sari, and normally the blouse comes as a package, So I don't have to do anything besides that, except for maybe jewelry and accessories, If I look at the fashion, maybe in the West, they have just like a top with the skirt, and that's it, But in this case, they have to match something which is like their dress, their lowers and uppers. Normally, the fashion garments, I mean, the garments which were available were coming from the UK market. So they had cut sleeves, and they had short sleeves, and they had deep necklines. So they were always, like making an assembly out of it, So they wore something underneath, and then they wore it as an overclothing with another cloak. But you can see all of them were so coordinated that they look like one ensemble, And then they have to match their shala, and then they have to see the jewelry which is visible in this kind of a format. So there was a lot of emphasis on necklaces. Their ears normally were not visible, so earrings, no, there, I mean, as when they go out, but then their hands and their bracelets. So, like you can see that whatever they were doing was culturally appropriate, and that is again a beautiful thing to see. When you look at the Indian scenario, you look at the Mexican dresses, you look at the Indonesian dresses, they are all cultural appropriate. And I think we as teachers who are teaching our students to be designers or to be entrepreneurs must emphasize on this part in a big way, because each client might have a different kind of outlook which needs to be catered to. Then we also have our global and ethical impacts. So there are a lot of negative impact areas of the apparel industry. I think tomorrow Dr. Swati is going to talk about sustainability in a big way. I will be touching upon it, because if I talk of the overview of fashion and I don't talk sustainability, it will be like kind of limiting. But we can see that apparel industry has impacted today the resources. There is the depletion of resources where you are growing all these crops. There is a lot of climate change which is happening because of that. There are a lot of animal suffering, like your furs and your other materials which are banned, but still people are trying to use it for apparels. There is a huge problem of water pollution because of the processing. You have air pollution. There is a habitat destruction. There is human right abuses which is happening. So again, while I'm creating fashion, I need to make sure that all these global and ethical impacts must be taken care of. Then we also have something related to all these things, which is our fashion forecast. So like, for example, okay, now this thing I will ask people, what is fashion forecast? Quickly, one line from 5 people.
Ma'am,
yes.
Predicting fashion.
Okay, predicting
for the future.
Fashion. Rachana said predicting fashion. Sorry, one by one. Just raise your hand. I can see you people. Okay, Shilpi.
Forcing fashion as per the customer's demands.
Fashion. Forcing fashion for demand. Okay, Manjari.
Ma'am, something new all every time so that you don't have a repeat.
Okay. Okay, Mona.
So creating fashion, keeping in the needs of.
Okay, Shweta. Dr. Shweta.
Ma'am, global career focus of upcoming trends.
Okay, upcoming trends. Okay, so all right. So what
like now, fashion forecast predicts color, fabric, texture, material, print, graphic, beauty, grooming, accessories, footwears.
Perfect. Very good. Okay, so basically, just to bring us back to how the fashion industry works, हम जो हमारे गारमेंट्स आज मार्केट में आते हैं वो बेसिकली आज से 6 महीने पहले या 1 साल पहले बनने शुरू हो जाते हैं. बनने से मेरा मतलब द कंसेप्चुअलाइजेशन ऑफ द डिजाइन, the selection of the fabric, if fabric is not available, making of the fabric, accessories, ये सारा एक pre process है जो हमें करना पड़ता है before these garments hit the market. So that is the reason why we need to know of the trends, what are going to be in fashion in future in advance. So आज से 1 साल के बाद या 2 साल के बाद जो trends मेरे market में आएंगे वो मुझे आज पता होने चाहिए, so that as a designer or as a manufacturer I'm able to predict what so I'm able to use those in my garments so that by the time they hit the racks, they are actually in fashion. I don't want to create something which will be obsolete by the time it comes on the racks, you know. So इसीलिए हमारा fashion forecast है, जो हमारी fashion forecasting agencies हैं, which who look at, you know, like public opinion, they do a lot of surveys, they talk to designers, they talk to the the leading people who are there, the Avant Garde people and things like that. And they try to identify that what kind of trends will be there in yarns, in fabrics, in finishes, in looks, in comfort, in accessories, in all the things which are there, the color, the texture. So I had an opportunity to go to Premier Vision, which is like an exhibition that happens in Paris every year. And in that exhibition, they also have these seminars which take place. And with the seminars, there is also like a separate section where the fashion forecast is showcased. So organizations like WGSN, etc., they are the ones who are there, who showcase as to what they are foreseeing fashion in next year or after 2 years to come. And this is all a paid entry, and like it's a huge hush hush. It is not available to everybody in the beginning, so that people who are creating high fashion are the first ones to know it, and then they create their garments, and then after that the actual the retail sector and other manufacturers can take it up. So for example, fashion forecast for 2022 is something like the thematically it says that, for example, when it says that it's a zoo, so when you talk in details, we are talking about zebra designs, we are talking about the cow hide, the abstract kind of a designs are going to be in. When we talk of the footwear frenzy, again, the kind of loafers and tech shoes, etc., are going to be in. Avant Garde, they are prints and they are creative cutouts which are there. And when you say that the theme is getting personal, it says that you are going to use some charm jewelry, some personal motifs on your garments. These are going to be in the times to come, in 2022. So fashion forecast helps the designers to create garments in time, so that when they hit the racks, they are actually in demand. Then we also have our, the theories of fashion adoption. We have trickle down. So one person, what is trickle down? Okay, Mona.
So trickle down theory is basically, taking inspiration from the elite class, and then it trickles down gradually to other strata of the society.
Okay. So from high fashion, it is mass production. Anybody for trickle up?
Ma'am, me.
Manjari, yeah.
From low fashion, something which goes to the high fashion, like leather jackets, rugged denims, those street fashion going up and stylizing as haute couture garments.
Haute couture. Okay, very good. Anybody for trickle across? Nidhi Abrol? Nidhi, I can't see you, but I can see your hand, Or Shivani?
Yeah, ma'am, that fashion that starts from a street as well as at the same time from a high fashion also, from the showrooms or by the elite class or haute couture.
Okay. So it is a mass-produced, like
mass-produced production, yeah,
yes.
right.
So it's a knockoff. So everybody is wearing that fashion at one given time. Perfect. Then we also see that when you're talking about fashion, the consumer segmentation is also very important as an aspect for fashion. Please, I'm talking about the overview. So I'm looking at all these important aspects, that what is their importance and how we can use them. So in consumer segmentation, of course, we have baby boomers, we have generation X, Y, Z. So, the consumer behavior and preferences that vary based on which generation we are catering to. So every producer, every manufacturer or every retailer is also targeting a certain set of consumers, because you can't target the entire market, So this market segmentation anyway is happening. So like, for example, Generation Z, which are born after year 2000, when you look at their consumer behavior and preference, it is hugely different. I don't know, when you go to the malls and you see this generation, I mean, when I go, I'm prim proper, I get ready, when I have to go to a mall, I dress up, They dress down because they are wearing their shorts and they are wearing their t-shirts and they are wearing their floaters, while they are there. So when you look at these people, probably they are not that conscious of, they are not that this thing of brands. They want to pick up things which are comfortable, which go with their personality, So they are more kind of individualistic. They don't want to, apply makeup. They're like different, the generation is different. So when you are catering to different segments of market as a fashion person, you should be aware that the market segmentation happens based on the preferences. And when you are choosing your things, it has to be chosen accordingly. Even a simple thing like if you want to open a boutique for your own self, or your student wants to open a boutique, they should be very clear in their mind that whom are they catering to, So if you are looking at housewives, then the kind of fabrics and other things will be different. If you are looking at the wedding market, the fabrics and other things will be different. Location of the shop will be different. So you just need to do that exercise of looking at the market segmentation accordingly. Then we have different fashion brands. So I mean, again, to me, I mean, to be very honest, I did not go and Google these brands because all of you are aware, and each brand that is there in the market has their own USP, which you are very much aware of. This is just to highlight that with advancement in transportation technology and other things, what were earlier considered as brands for the West, as a high fashion brands for West and ready to wear fashion for West, is also now used in India and vice versa. So when you look at Louis Vuitton and you look at Hermes and Burberry and Cartier, you see that everything is available now in India and people are using. And when you look at the Prêt-à-Porter and ready to wear collection, all these outlets of Marks and Spencer, H&M, Zara and all are hugely available in India. So suddenly you see that this fashion divide about what is local, what is Indian and what is Western and other countries is not there anymore. But again, there is a segmentation that designers like Sabyasachi, Ritu Kumar and Anita Dungre and all, they are creating primarily Indian clothing, or even if they are making Western wear, the USP of these designers lies in the choice of fabrics, So again, this brings us to a point that as designers, we have to have our own identity, what is different from others. So when I look at Ritu Kumar collections, it is something which is hugely dependent upon the fabric she chooses, because there's a huge design in the fabric. So the silhouettes may be simple, but the design is in the texture of the fabric. Whereas when you look at probably something which is Burberry, the fabric that you have is the same all the time. I mean, the basic print is there, but they are using it in a very artistic way to create different kind of collections. So it is all about creating your brand identity, So students, when they finish their studies and they, join as entrepreneurs, they need to be aware of this aspect as well. Okay. Now, I'll just touch upon sustainable fashion in 3 slides. Why, we have fast fashion. Fast fashion, as we discussed in the fashion cycle, stays for some time and then goes off. And then the new fashion comes. So this fast fashion has a huge problem because, as per the study, I have the list of references at the end, So as per a study, 92 million tons of fashion gets thrown every year, And when you say it is thrown, it is probably in landfills or it is in the oceans or wherever, Then 20% of the industrial pollution comes from dyeing of textiles. 10% of the global greenhouse gases comes from fashion industry. 2,700 liters of water is used to process one non-organic cotton t-shirt. A worker in Bangladesh gets just about $2 to $3 a day, which is like very minimal, And then the fashion is affecting our earth, Mother Earth, in a big way. I will share my presentation with Dr. Swati after the thing, so you can have it and you can use it if you want, Yani. I'll give it to you in the editable mode, so that if you want to add further for your teaching, most welcome.
Ma'am, your slides are also being live on YouTube. So we have a channel, vocational by skill education by CBSE. So you all can go back and check the videos there.
Perfect. Excellent. Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Swati. So when we talk of fast fashion being bad, so what is the good solution is a slow fashion. Slow fashion is basically a combination of eco fashion, ethical fashion, lasting fashion. So what are these terms? I have briefly talked about this, that eco fashion is something where there is a minimum impact on the environment. Ethical fashion is something where the production, retail and purchasing all undertake ethical, processing steps. Lasting fashion is when the fashion lasts for a long time, and sustainable fashion is something when you are creating a clothing with no impact of harming the planet. So I think from me, this is a huge, thing talking about slow fashion, because when you talk of sustainable fashion and you talk of slow fashion, automatically you realize these two things are related. We also have sustainable fashion where we are, for example, recycling clothes. There is low carbon footprint. We also use the fair trades, no child labor and things like that. We trade in our clothing. You give it and you buy something new out of that. It's like giving it and then, purchasing new material. You also have biodegradable materials which we should be using. There should be non-toxic use of things, organic things. So all these initiatives actually make sustainable fashion. But in my view, at our level, when we have to talk of ethical fashion, we have to talk something which we can do, as consumers. So again, we have to raise awareness about it. We have to check the labels to make sure that we buy the stuff which is ethical in nature. We should, like, buy second-hand items because vintage is in. When you say it's a vintage clothing, you don't mind buying. But when you say second-hand, you don't buy. In our minds, there is always a barrier, to buy a used clothing. But I think it is important that we think in that direction. Shop less, shop local. We have to try other fibers, other fabrics. I will be talking about it shortly. Wash clothes less. I mean, that doesn't mean wear them dirty, but the things like dupattas and saris which are worn once and then they don't get dirty, you can always defer the washing for after wearing 2-3 times. You should wash, because that has an impact on the water consumption that we have. There is a radical rethinking. So what we talk of COVID and how we look at clothes now, I mean, this has made a difference in our lives. We have to somehow increase the corporate and consumer responsibility regarding this entire thing. And there has to be an effective policy. Like, for example, those manufacturing units which are using recycling big way, or the ones which are like doing all these new things which are there, from a policy perspective, they should be given some kind of relaxation in probably taxes and other things, so that they are encouraged to do that, right? Then I just want to spend next 3 minutes in this. There's an organization called Patagonia. They are actually manufacturers of gears and clothes and other things. It's a California-based company. It's a for-profit organization. That means they make clothes to sell, just like any other brand that we have. But when they are going in business, they are thinking about business from a long-time perspective. So their pursuit is for a just cause, and they want to self-improve. They want to do something which is like a socially responsible supply chain. And they are somehow trying to make sure that they are giving it back to the society. So they are earning a lot of profit, but at the same time, they are doing it in a very, very ethical fashion. In my list of, I have given some links at the end of my presentation where you can go to them and you can actually, like, see these websites live. I didn't want to do it here because it slows down the whole procedure. So I've just taken some screenshots, of some of their things, what they are doing. So when you go to the Patagonia website, there is a shop. Of course, you see all things which are available. There is something what they call as activism. And then you see in activism what exactly they are doing in each of these areas. There are stories which are there, which are very beautiful stories, which is a 3-minute read or a 5-minute read, where they are talking about some place in Africa or Asia or wherever, where they are trying to retain, they are trying to safeguard the nature in a way that it doesn't impact things differently. So how they are making a difference to the society, they are talking about that. There is another section that they have which talks about what's cool about used clothing, because they are promoting the used clothing in a big way. So they want you to, give your used clothes which are in decent conditions back to them, and then they sell it, and they want you to pick up these clothes which are there, because they know that buying the used clothing extends the garment's life by about 2 years, and the carbon and waste and water footprints are reduced by almost 82%. So they are talking about that as well.
Ma'am, one doubt, ma'am.
Sorry, yes, please.
Do they come under a thrift market, thrift buying?
No. They are doing it at a much larger level. It's like a complete organization of multi-billion, organization, and they are doing it as part of their community outreach kind of a thing, because they are in the business of clothing. They say that the businessmen or the people who are doing that, they have to think that how they can make a difference. हम हमेशा कहते हैं कि भगत सिंह हमारे साथ वाले घर में पैदा होना चाहिए था. We never say that they should be born in. He should have born to me, as a person. आप समझ रहे हो? हम चाहते हैं लोग difference करें society में, but we have to be the beginners of that. So Patagonia is an organization which is making a difference from their actions. Like, for example, they say that they are taxing themselves. So whatever they have a self tax, what they call as the earth tax. So this 1% tax they are taking from their sales, which they are giving it back to the society for all environmental causes. They also guarantee, like when you go to the site, they tell you that how they are making, what they are making. So you see exactly how this fabric has been created with, like low water or no damage to the environment, or, not, giving a proper wage to the people, etc., etc. They are also, like another thing that they are doing is if you buy clothes for them and they are torn or some fat gaya, toot gaya, so they repair that free of cost. So again, they don't want you to throw the material once you are done with it. Rather, they want you to wear that clothes for a longer time. By the way, I don't know अगर आपको ये चीज हमारे इंडियन कल्चर को ये वाली चीजें इनहेरेंट हैं. आप समझ रहे हो? हमारा अगर कपड़ा फट जाता है, we will wear it, we'll mend it and we'll wear it. छोटे होते मुझे याद है हम स्कूल ड्रेस पहनते थे, तो अगर हमारी ट्राउजर्स में अगर कहीं नी पे वो फट गया या वेयर आउट हो गया, माय मदर यूज्ड टू पुट अ पैच देयर, कि भाई इसको यूज तो करना ही है तुमने, बिकॉज बाकी सारी पैंट तो ठीक ही है ना अभी. सो इट इज फॉर अस इट इज नेचुरल, बट इन अ global scenario you feel that probably these are not happening as of now. So obviously in the, they are using electricity, they are using renewable energy. 94% of their line is using recycled material. In 2020 they repaired about 101,000 garments. So I mean, you just look at it from a perspective that they are making a difference in the whole business of garment making. So broadly we can say sustainable fashion, you are doing something which is on demand, so you are not buying impulsively. What you need, you buy which is quality stuff, which is timeless, like classics. You buy material which is created by fair and ethical means. You are also redesigning and you are upcycling things. You rent and you swap the dresses. You like हमारे यहाँ पे होता है एक generation से दूसरी generation वो कपड़े आगे pass on होते हैं, so which is something very good. We also say in sustainable fashion, you swap amongst the family members, amongst friends, so that the novelty is there, but still you are not damaging the environment to a very big way. Second hand and vintage should be in, and the sustainable fashion talks about green and clean environment. Is that all right with everybody regarding the fashion part? Is there any comment? Okay, because the next part that I'm going to talk about is primarily about the textiles, where we have fiber, yarn, fabric, finishes. So again, my basic approach would be that what is new in these areas and how we can make sure that you update yourselves in what is happening in these fields. Now again, I know that all of you know what is a fiber, what is a yarn, what is a fabric, how finishes are done, how dyeing are done. So my emphasis will be more on just adding some things which might add some value to what we are doing. So broadly, fabric production and processing involves like fiber, yarn, fabric processing, and you get your end product. And simultaneously, there is a processing that is also happening in terms of cleaning, carding, spinning, weaving, of course, finishing, and then you cut and stitch your material. Now, the important aspects that we have to look at it from a manufacturing process is that at the fiber stage, like the natural fibers, we have to see the amount of pesticides, the GM crops, quality of soil, etc. For man-made fibers, we need to think of the raw materials which are being used and what are the manufacturing conditions. Yarn, similar thing. For the fabric, we have to see how they are made, the bleaching, dyeing, and other finishing. And while we are finishing, the effluents, salts, all these things are important. And when we are talking about the garment, we need to look at the manufacturing of the garment, the processing, and the packaging as well. So these are some of the key points, which are the pulse points that we need to look at, when we are talking about our textile processing. Now, we realize that in addition to the fibers which are already available to us, like our cotton, wool, silk, nylon, polyester, etc., etc., we realize that we need to have some new alternatives now. Now, why do we need these alternatives is because the resources are dwindling, like over a period of time, the soil that we are using or the farms that we are using to grow these things are becoming lesser. They are more labor intensive, water intensive. So we need to find something else. Again, like fibers like cotton are hugely resource intensive. So we have to look at options besides that as well. There is a huge environmental impact of the fibers that the man-made fibers that we are using, like acrylic, polyester, etc. and we need to look at some alternatives which are more sustainable, and they also do not pollute the environment. So what are the options which are available to us? So I've just lined down some of these options, like organic cotton, naturally colored cotton, some new fibers, some active wear. So what is happening in the production, in processing and dyeing, etc.? I will just outline these things broadly. So the first option that we have available to us is the use of organic cotton. So organic cotton, as the name suggests, is something which is environmental friendly. No pesticides are used, no fertilizers are used. The soil conditions are maintained in its virgin form. And then the fabric, the fiber that you get is soft, it is pliable, and it is free of chemicals. So where do we use this fabric? Can you tell me, Ane, what are the target audience if you're looking at a consumer segmentation? Anybody? Yes, Mona?
So if we look at the consumers here, I think this is, for people who've been able to, pay more for, because organic is expensive in terms of,
Some
yeah.
home
Yeah.
textile.
Elite class.
I think it can go for children because we need to have softer and organic things for them. For people who are recuperating from some diseases like skin allergies and so
Yeah.
I guess it's for
So
them.
there is a target audience. I completely understand that it is expensive at the moment because it is a new thing which is happening. But again, there is a target audience that can use this material because of its, the fact that it is free from all chemicals and pesticide. People who have some skin allergies or some kind of preconditions, probably this is an option available to them. Even for small kids and for old age people, like older generations, we realize that they get skin allergies if they use a normal this thing, and sometimes we are not able to find out how they are getting it. So maybe this is an option which is available to them. I agree it comes at a cost, but that's all right because there is a there is a movement at the moment to make sure that more and more of the cotton is created which is like an organic cotton. So it will be very soon available to us at a cheaper cost, right? Then we also have the option of using naturally colored cotton. Anybody, one line, what is naturally colored cotton?
Dyes that are extracted from natural materials.
The dyes which are used for natural.
Or it is like some herbs. Like I worked on onion skin to derive
Yes,
some.
that is a dyeing. Yes, dyeing of natural. Yes, that is naturally dyed fabrics. Yes. Atindra, you want to say something?
Which are extracted from nature and all that.
Yeah. So there is a difference, can you please mute yourself, Atindra, one second?
Are these the direct dyes? Are these direct dyes?
No. Naturally colored cotton. See, when you see your natural cotton, a normal cotton that you have is normally off whitish in color, right? And that is the whole thing. And you have to bleach and make it white, and then you can dye it either with natural dyes or synthetic dyes. But naturally colored cottons are the ones which are in the inherent seed of the fiber. There is color, right? So it's a variety of cotton which is naturally colored. Hanji, please.
Ma'am, you have that fox cotton, right?
Fox cotton, yes. That is
in brown
a
color.
brand. Yes,
that comes under this category.
Yes, that's.
Thank you.
Like Fox cotton is a naturally colored. They are the manufacturers. It's a brand of naturally colored cottons. So basically, what happens is that in this case, the colored gene is present in the lumen of the fiber. So when you grow the cotton, automatically the cotton that comes out has color in it. So it, and also in addition to that, it needs less pesticide. So it is kind of partially organic as well. Then again, it is more disease resistant. It is tolerant. But the best part is that because of its inherent color, we don't have to dye it. Obviously, we don't bleach it, because there's no point in bleaching naturally colored cotton and making it white. So the preparation of the fabric doesn't require anything. And the best part is that this fiber, when you get, is also flame retardant in nature, So wherever you are using it, for old people, for small children, for people with sensitive skin, we can actually use this kind of a material, which is a naturally colored cotton. Normally, it is available to us in the shades of brown and the shades of green. And Mexico and other places, and even now in India, this is being made. And, like a study was done, one of my PhD students, Jyoti, worked on it. and she created these different types of knit fabrics using these colored cottons, because जो aesthetic वाली चीज है वो हमें structural design के through we tried to put it, and we created a line for toddlers, you know.
Ma'am?
Then, yes, please.
Ma'am, when we study about the properties of the cotton, we studied that there is a different colors available, natural colors like dull colors, gray and all that.
Yes.
But in the finishing process, we bleach that colors, like हम पहले उसमें color उसको colorless करने के बाद then we are dyeing the process.
हाँ, मतलब ऐसा होता है कि अगर आपकी कॉटन जो इनहेरेंटली जो नॉर्मल कॉटन है, विच इज नॉट अ नेचुरली कलर्ड कॉटन, वो ऑफ वाइट कलर की होगी, हल्का ग्रेइश उसमें हो जाएगा, किस तरह की सॉइल है, कैसे ग्रो कर रही है. अगर मैं उस कलर को ब्लीच नहीं करती और अगर मैं ऐसे ही यूज करती हूँ तो जो, और उसको मैं डाई करती हूँ, तो ऑब्वियसली मेरे कलर जो है डाइड फैब्रिक विल बी डलर एंड यू विल नॉट सी अ प्योर व्हाइट फैब्रिक, यू नो. सो वी ब्लीच, क्योंकि कॉटन वी वांटेड टू बी व्हाइट, यू नो, जो हमारी नेचुरल कॉटन है. बाय द वे, अगर आप वुल फैब्रिक की बात करते हो, वो भी हमारा ऑफ वाइट कलर में आता है कपड़ा फैब्रिक, लेकिन हमारा पश्मीना जो है वो ऑफ वाइट ही है. अगर मेरी पश्मीना एग वाइट हो जाए तो वो नेचुरल नहीं लगेगी, यू नो. सो हमें वुल में हमने एक्सेप्ट कर लिया है कि यू नो लाइक ऑफ वाइट इज द कलर, यू नो, वेयर एज कॉटन में वी वांट डिफरेंट कलर्स, इट इज चीपर, वी वांट टू मेक इट डिफरेंटली, यानी सो वी आर ब्लीचिंग. बट जब हम नेचुरल कलर कॉटन का बात करते हैं तो वी नेवर ब्लीच इट, यू नो, because this color is the beauty of the whole fabric, you know.
Ma'am, so it is available in the dull colors, na? Only in dull colors, like
they are available in dull colors. They are. I told you the color palette. It is greens and browns, the dull colors of greens and browns. But again, there is a market that likes that color as well, you know.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
ठीक है ना? तो हम again अपने mind में हमेशा market segmentation को mind में रखिएगा कि जो भी चीज आप बना रहे हैं, जो भी नए फाइबर आ रहे हैं, कुछ भी है, they are for a particular clientele, you know. And it is in the larger interest of the planet, you know. Okay?
Okay.
So there are, in addition to my organic cotton and my, you know, the naturally colored cotton, I have some other new fibers also in the block which are available. Like for example, hemp is the one which is used. So this fabric, as you can see, the plant from where we get it is an antibacterial material, durable, resilient. मतलब जो हमारा जो cellulosic fiber की जो properties हैं वो सारी इसके अंदर हैं. लेकिन this doesn't require that much of herbicides, pesticides, fertilizers, etc. So it is something which can be, you know, used as a substitute for my cotton and other things. So Patagonia is also making this kind of a, you know, like fabric. You can see the jacket, you know, in the background, which is created by that. There's another fiber which is from the stinging nettle fibers. Now, stinging nettle fibers are created. Can you see the plant here? इसमें हल्का हल्का कांटे कांटे वाला plant है मेरा. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So
Yes,
this is,
ma'am.
yeah. So this is again something which is, you know, you get it from this kind of a plant, you know, fiber. And again, this is a, you know, a new fiber which you get from the nettle plants, and they are strong, they are flexible, and they have a good spinning length, you know. So again, we can use it as a cellulosic material. This option is available. We have another fiber that you can get from the coffee ground fibers, you know. आपने देखा होगा कि स्टारबक्स के अंदर जो आपके इतना सारा जब कॉफी बनाते हैं, उसका जो इतना हमारा यू नो आफ्टर यू हैव एक्सट्रैक्टेड द थिंग, जो बाकी का जो हमारा मटेरियल बचता है, this is being used to create a coffee ground fiber. And again, they have excellent natural anti-odor qualities, they have UV protection, and they take less time to dry. And Starbucks is actually working, you know, they are collecting all these coffee things from their vendors, and they are creating this yarn out of it as part of their CSR activity. ठीक है? You know, a similar thing अगर आपने देखा होगा कि जैसे weddings में या मंदिर में जब इतने सारे marigold के जो हमारे plants को flowers होते हैं, गेंदे के flowers, so there is again a, you know, Hema, 1 second please. Yes. Hema, could you please mute yourself? Hema, can I request you to please mute?
Hema ji, please mute. Ravi, mute करिए please.
हाँ नीचे ऊपर मेरा बच्चे ही नहीं है नीचे
हम लोग सेंट्रली कर सकते हैं, अदरवाइज ठीक है, चलो आई विल ट्राई. हेमा बजाज, कैन यू प्लीज म्यूट? आप किसी के पास अगर नंबर है तो उसको बोल दो, उसको पता नहीं चल रहा होगा एक्चुअली. Okay, so we have, and you know, like, so I was talking about these marigold flowers which are there. तो उसकी भी एक पूरी मूवमेंट है कि उस मैरीगोल्ड फ्लावर्स से जो है, जो यूज्ड फ्लावर्स को we just take them out और उसमें हम natural dyes extract करेंगे. Manjul had worked on it, I think. Yes,
No,
Manjul,
ma'am.
would you like to?
I had
हाँ
not
जी.
worked, but I remember the organization school, ma'am, working on this.
Yes, yes.
They are creating a lot of things out of these marigold
Yeah.
flowers.
So मतलब हमारी ना मतलब एफर्ट जो है वो पूरी जब हम कर रहे हैं वो ये है कि वो वाली चीज जो खाने में यूज ना हो, कहीं और यूज ना हो, वेस्ट को हम प्रोसेस कर सकें. So that is the whole objective of doing these kind of new fibers and other things. ठीक है. तो कॉफी ग्राउंड फाइबर्स भी बेसिकली
अब ये हो गया है, तो हाउस भी होगा, अभी प्लान्ड होगा कुछ.
Then we also have a new fiber in terms of pineapple fabric. So pineapple में भी जो आपका ananas होता है, as we say, so London based ananas, anam, they have developed this kind of a thing. जो pineapple के leaves हैं, उसके by product को we are using it and we are making it into a fabric, and the fabric that you get is very similar to leather. You also have banana fibers, again strongest natural fibers हैं जो stem of banana से निकलते हैं. By the way, मैंने end में कुछ एक video links भी डाले हैं, you know, like in case you want to show it to your students for any of these things. तो जहाँ मुझे मिले कुछ YouTube में, technology ने बहुत साथ दिया, you know, इस time पे, because all these things are available and seeing is believing, you know. So when you show these things to your students, believe me, the impact is much more than just talking, you know. So banana again is used to make textiles in different weights, thicknesses, and it is completely biodegradable. We also have the lotus fibers, जो आपकी कमल ककड़ी होती है, तो उसमें भी जो आपका जो उसका stem है, उसके अंदर जब आप उसको extract करते हैं, so you get something which is a mixture, like you get a fabric which is like a combination, like it looks like silk and raw linen, you know. So this is again something that can be used as a new fiber, you know, which is much more, which gives an alternate to us because, you know, this fiber is soft, silky, and it is breathable. We also have some new fibers which are available for active wear, and I've just put like a snapshot of some of them. और इन सब का जो basic fundamental है वो ये है कि हमारा active wear is becoming very very important category of garments that are being created. और इस active wear में ज्यादातर we are using man-made fibers, you know, जहाँ polyester based है, spandex है, ऐसे वाले fibers use हो रहे हैं. तो जो ये new fibers जो मैं बात कर रही हूँ आपसे, उसमें plastic bottles are being recycled, for example, you know. So आपने plastic bottle को recycle करके जब अपना fiber बनाया, which is used for active wear, it is just something I think which is an amazing solution, which is catering to the market needs without affecting the nature, and you know, like upcycling and recycling is something which is happening. So we have the DuPont Apexa fiber, we have the Coolmax fiber, Avera. So कहीं में natural fibers के साथ combination में बना रहे हैं, कहीं में they are just using simple recycled polyester only to do that. Then we also have a huge category of smart textiles which are being used now. So anybody, since we have like 2 minutes, anybody about the smart textiles कुछ बताना चाहेंगे? Anyone? एक line, दो line. What are smart textiles?
Ma'am, I can guess.
Yes.
Those textiles which require less amount of management, as in less ironing, less maintenance. Are they smart, ma'am?
Okay. Anybody else? Yes, Mona.
Yes, ma'am.
Mona, बोलो please.
Smart textiles.
Sorry, Arunima, आप क्या कह रहे हैं? बोलिए.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, smart textiles basically the textiles which in which we use technology as well.
Okay.
So,
okay,
technology incorporated with textiles.
Okay, very good. Dr. Shweta.
Ma'am, e-textile are fabric enabled digital components.
Okay.
जो मैम digital, हाँ जी.
Okay. Mona, you want to add something?
So, ma'am,
for me, something to do with nano textiles.
Okay. Margabandhu, nano textiles. Mona.
So, ma'am, smart textiles for me are textiles which are treated with different sort of finishes.
Okay. All right. So fabrics which are Shivani, yes. Last point, Shivani.
And smart textiles are that fabric that are developed from technologies.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else? Okay, Gagandeep, you want to add something?
Yeah, whenever I touch upon this topic in the class, smart textiles, I remember one advertisement. There used to be advertisement around 10 years back, Mona Suri ma'am, and everyone. So it was about the blackberry fabric. So there's an advertisement that the woman is waiting for her husband and he comes late to the house and they had to go for a dinner. And she's quite annoyed and he's trying to pampering her and he takes out his trousers and tells her that we are still going for a dinner. So she crumbles the trousers and throws in the bin. And then he goes smilingly, takes out the trousers and the trouser still doesn't have any wrinkles. So actually the advertisement is about the wrinkle resistant fabric. So one of the examples of the smart textile. So each time when I take this topic in the class, I tell this advertisement to the students and they really find quite connected to it. So I just wanted to share with all of you. Thank you.
Ma'am, one more detail. When I did
one second. Mark Bandhu, Shalini wants to say something. Sorry.
Yes, ma'am. Smart textiles are the fabric that have been developed with new technologies like electronic textile or e-textiles that enable digital components such as the battery and the light and all those things.
Okay, yes. So I will just take it from there. Sorry, Mark Bandhu, I have to finish within that time.
I know. Sorry, ma'am.
So,
sorry,
no, please, no, sorry. Cool. Everybody is relaxed. I'm happy that you are thinking with me, and you are adding some things to this thing as well. So we have the easy care textiles, that is one category of finishing, that we are doing to make it water repellent, to make it anti-wrinkle and whatever this thing. But when we are talking about smart textiles, basically smart textiles are the ones that think, So like, for example, aesthetically, if you, like if you go to a dark area, your textile, they light up, by some fluorescent something or maybe some kind of lights. When you go to a temperature which is very low, your textiles automatically is fitted with something that it makes you feel warmer, That is the smart textile. When you have, you are low in energy, it gives you some more energy in terms of whatever is happening. As an athlete, it enhances my performance. It's like a wearable technology, if I may say so. So maybe it is self-cleaning, when you put it, automatically the things get clean. So there is a fine line between my easy care and those kind of textiles and my smart textiles or my e-textiles, but they are all primarily related in a way that they are trying to make the life easy for a consumer, right? So again, when you are talking about your fibers in your classes and other things, it is important for you to touch upon these smart textiles as well, because these are the fibers and these are the technologies for the future, So I mean, when your students are working or even when you are talking about it, we need to make sure that they are somehow incorporated in your teaching and your other things as well, right? Now, on a similar note, in addition to the fiber, we also have the fabric construction methods where we have a lot of innovative technologies which are there. So just to give you one example, that earlier when, when जो आपका बेसिक गारमेंट मैन्युफैक्चरिंग जो आपका सप्लाई चेन मैनेजमेंट में जब हम करते हैं तो आपका एक अगर सैंपल बना, that sample is created, so you get a fabric, you make a sample, that sample is transported, the buyer will look at the sample and then they will say कि हाँ ये ठीक है या नहीं है, फिर वो कहेगा नहीं इसका ये कपड़ा ठीक नहीं है, आप एक और लेके आइए, another one is created. So it used to be a very long drawn process, But nowadays with these innovative technologies, we realize for sampling, we have a very, like the digital formation of fabrics and garments is taking place. So through these different softwares which are available now, a designer doesn't have to make a sample. They just create a digital sample that is transferred onto the buyer, via net, and then they look at it and then they ask you to make the changes that you can again make. So without actually creating a fabric, you are making a complete sample of the garment for your buyer. And again, if that is approved, then the prototyping machines are there which rapidly create this kind of a design. And then again, it is finally looked at. So, like rather than looking at 20 samples and deciding on one, you are actually looking at 20 digital samples, deciding on one, and that one you create a prototype and that is approved. So you save a lot of energy while you are doing this entire process. Similar thing is also happening in digital printing. Right, so we are using this exercise to do that as well, and these kind of innovations address the concerns of energy consumption, waste generation, and so many other things. And these products where we are using e-textiles, 3D designing, sportswear, etc., use all these technologies in a big way. So in fabric construction methods,
These are innovative technologies. In addition to that, we also have our new looms which are there. There are new, like for example, even in knitting machines, rather than, if you remember earlier, we used to, या तो knitting आपका एक garment बनता है, it's a complete garment design, or you make, like जो आपके वॉप निटिंग और उसके वाले पूरे यार्डेज बनती है, उसके ऊपर आप फैब्रिक रख के काटते हैं, एंड देन देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ वेस्टेज, और इतनी ज्यादा वेस्टेज है आपकी, it creates huge dumps, So abhi aaj ki date mein, with the new technology, you can measure the body, you can program your computer to say that this is the size, this is the length of the sleeve, this is the length of the garment, and the knitting machine is linked to that so that it can create a garment which is fitting to your size, and there is no wastage which is involved in there. So the point I'm trying to make is that in your weaving and your knitting also, you realize that there's a lot of technology innovation which is happening in that. Also, when you have your dyeing and finishing industry, again, please pardon me for that, but I'm not going to go into the details of your yarn making and fabric making. I think it's already there in your resource material. So I will just talk of something which are the highlights. Now, another problem that we have with our textile industry is the finishing, dyeing and printing industry, because textile industry is the second most polluting industry in the world, not only in India, yani all over the world. We also realize that the synthetic dyes that we use contribute to a major part of this pollution, with 20% of the global water pollution happening from these effluents, which are created. Again, we have non-biodegradable petroleum-based colorants, the synthetic dyes which are there, which are toxic, to the nature, and they are toxic to the whole ecosystem. And they are released in large numbers in our rivers and, like seas and other things, which create a huge problem, to the environment. So a lot of efforts are also being made to make sure that there are new things which are happening even in our dyeing, finishing and printing industry as well. And the basic points that are being kept in mind while talking about these innovations is the reuse. So the water that is used to dye should be somehow treated and reused. The salt that is added, if you remember, direct dyes mein hum salt dalte the exhaustion ke liye. So you somehow, after the dyeing has happened, jo bhi leftover salt hai, it should be extracted, that should be reused. The dye which is being used, जितनी अगर reactive dyes में आपकी 60% dye जो है वो आपके dye bath में ही रह जाती है, so that should be somehow extracted and used for futuristic works. We are also reducing the things. How we are reducing that? We are trying to reduce the effluent. मतलब if you remember MLR ratios, material to liquor ratio, अगर आपका बहुत ज्यादा liquor use हो रहा है dyeing में, so obviously उतना ज्यादा effluent बनेगा, उतना ज्यादा treat करना पड़ेगा. And that is the problem. But अगर आप effluent को कम करते हैं, liquor कम use कर रहे हैं, so we make sure that things are better. Similarly, we try to reduce the amount of electrolytes and chemicals which are used. We also try to dye at lower temperatures, because use of temperature is also energy, so we have to take care of that as well. Similarly, we are also looking at the refuse, कि जो हमारा textile waste है, how to handle that, like how to reuse it and recycle it as well. For example, like the knitwear waste, जब आपने knitting वाले जो garments बने हमारे, जो तिरुपुर और लुधियाना और ये सारी industries हैं, जब आपने fabric को काटा तो आपकी जो side की कतरने हैं, जो textile waste है, that is like a huge amount, जो 1 या 2 रुपए किलो में बिकता है, market में. So उसको क्या करोगे? So, like for example, one of the studies that, Dr. Bhavna had done with me was on creating sanitary napkins out of this waste. So sanitary napkin का एक upper portion है जो PET polyethylene वाला है, but जो अंदर का core material है, which is something which has to be absorbent. और अगर आप cotton waste ले रहे हो, उसको आप reprocess कर रहे हो, आप उसको antibacterial बना रहे हो, and then you are putting it as a core material. This is a huge exercise, where you are using this waste in a big way, So we have to think of the disposal of the textile waste, the effluent treatment plants. We have to think of recycle, in terms of how the raw materials can be recycled, how the waste can be recycled in our dyeing, printing and, finishing industry. So just to give you an example that आप पुराना याद आया होगा कि जब हम roller dyeing machine use करते हैं, the MLR is about 1:35, but जब आप spray dyeing machine use कर रहे हो तो MLR is reduced to 1.5 to 1.9. Similarly, the cabinet dyeing machine uses this. So we have to choose the method that gives you a better, like dyeing in terms of less effluent.
हैंक डाई करते हैं जब हम यान को डाई कर रहे हैं, बट वी कैन we have this ultra low liquor dyeing machine जहां पे the MLR which is used is just about 1:1. तो आप समझ रहे हैं अगर 1 किलो आपका यान है जो आप डाई कर रहे हो उसमें केवल 1 किलो पानी गया, so it's almost like there is no effluent that comes out, so that will reduce the problems at a later stage. We also have our fabric dyeing machines, which are like jiggers are using just 1:4. Your soft flow dyeing machines are available. Jet dyeing machines are there. So you can see that the MLRs that are used are very, very limited in number, right? So the point I'm trying to make is that through my dyeing, printing and other industries also at different stages, we can reduce, and there are a lot of innovations which are happening for all these things. Now, so coming back to our original thing, that when I talk of my fashion industry primarily comprises of the fashion. It is like manufacturing, it is processing, it is pattern making, garment making, selling. So when I'm looking at all these things which are available to me as a fashion industry, I realize that the students that are there, they also have a lot of innovative careers now, right? So in addition to being a fashion designer and a fashion merchandiser and other things that are already listed, in our curriculum, we realize that there are careers as fashion photographers, So this is again something that students, after they finish their class 12th, they can do a diploma or they can do some short course and they can just actually take that further and they will be really doing very well. They could be visual merchandisers. What do the visual merchandisers do? They have like all these shops and other organized, the malls and other things that they have these window displays, and they need somebody with an aesthetic eye to work on, आपको उसके लिए बहुत बड़ी degree नहीं चाहिए, you just need to have an eye for details and working on that. So they could go as visual merchandiser. Of course, they could be stylists. And we see a lot of people who are now, like associated with these celebrities or even with, during your wedding times and other things, you need stylists who can design the whole trousseau and things like that, a new thing which is coming is a personal shopper, so agar aap jaise when we were in Bahrain, wahan pe Marks and Spencer or wahan jao, so there are these personal shoppers which are there. So when you go there, they help you, ki tell me, what do you want, how, so they support you while you are looking at things. And again, people who have an eye for detail and who have a good knowledge about what is around, they can do well in that area. Retailers, of course, they can be there. Fashion blogger is another whole new dimension, which is there, which we realize things that people are doing. Textile designer, and also as fashion influencers, So one of my own, our own urbanite, Richa Nirwan, she's a huge fashion influencer, and if you go to Instagram, you will see that she's promoting all these new things and new sarees and new looks and other things. So again, I mean, there is a huge amount of options which are available to the students once they are doing this fashion studies as a course, and as teachers who have been mentoring them, who are guiding them, I think it is your responsibility to tell them that these are the things which are available and the students can actually shine in all these areas. So what are the takeaways from this session? That finishes my session. I'm happy that I've done that. Give me the takeaways from your side, and then I will give the takeaways as what I feel, what I have given. One point from everybody. I have 73 people. I know 73 cannot say, I just have 3 minutes. So maybe like 10 takeaways. Muna.
Yes. Fashion is dynamic and ever changing.
Excellent. Who else? Quickly, Anne, one by one. Quickly.
Ma'am, I think you've been excellent, and being from the industry, I think whatever knowledge you've given us is great. Thank you so much.
Okay, Neeta. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I am Prabha. Yes. It was a very good experience, learning from you. And of course, you have recapped the class 11 chapters.
Okay, good.
First 2 chapters, yes.
Ma'am, sustainable fashion is the need for future.
Absolutely. Good. Yes. Quickly, yes, Rachna, good. Who else?
Thank you, ma'am.
Veena says eco-friendly nature of fashion, organic cotton is the takeaway for her. What else? Quickly, Anna, you can just say.
Ma'am, smart fashion, smart textile was the takeaway for me.
For you, smart textiles is the takeaway. Poonam?
Ma'am, e-commerce is going to stay.
in and out.
Absolutely. Yes.
And
So
ma'am,
e-commerce.
innovative careers in fashion, as we can see on the screen right
Yes.
now.
So
There are so
innovative
many
careers.
careers which we came to know.
Yeah. So there's no, you can't limit the fashion, the fashion careers. There's a lot available for students based on their capability. Ashita?
Ma'am, my takeaway from this session would be, by the end of it, I would like to encourage one of my students to create something like Patagonia in India. That would be a very
Excellent.
big thing.
Very good. Go to the website of Patagonia. You will be pleasantly surprised, I mean, it is a beautiful thing, and you just feel that, there are people who are doing something beyond profit and loss, It's a beautiful organization, and the whole ethos is so good, Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else? Shalini, you wanted to add something?
Yes, ma'am. As we all know that fashion is the pulse of present.
Okay,
So
it is the pulse of.
on behalf of the knowledge we have gained from you today, I think you have captured our heartbeats and that how they will raise finally in the future.
Perfect.
So,
Very good.
we have
Veena
got a very
says,
good knowledge on your behalf.
very
Thank you,
good.
ma'am.
I'm happy that you found it interesting.
Ma'am,
Veena
we are
says,
getting, sorry ma'am,
sorry,
just to
yes.
interrupt, we are getting some comments on YouTube also.
Yes, okay.
So the takeaways, as you're asking, one of the person has written sustainable fashion and smart textiles.
Okay, sustainable
I just
fashion.
wanted to add in because people in YouTube should also feel that they have.
Yeah, absolutely. And even I can see some comments on our session as well, where we say that they're talking about, Veena says eco-friendly nature of fashion, organic cotton. Razia says save the environment, use textiles in eco-friendly way, smartly and wisely. Rachna talks about Patagonia. Veena talks about new innovative ideas and knowledge. Shalini says that documentary is Next Black. Okay, the document suggests the documentary Next Black on futuristic textiles. I'll have a look at it. And then Prabha says small textiles, smart textiles. So there are a lot of upcycle markets. So all these things are there. So from my perspective, what I feel are the takeaways from the session are that fashion is ever evolving. So as somebody said, it is dynamic. It is something which is evolving. So we as the trainers for the fashion industry need to make sure that we are abreast with that, So this is very critical for us. What is given in your materials, we have to keep on updating that to make sure that we are always current in terms of what we are doing. Fashion studies, in my view, as a takeaway, is it encompasses design, construction, styling, marketing, and will stay relevant for times to come. So don't ever let this doubt come in your mind that why are we doing? And when the students say, you should never be, doubtful about it. Never have a second thought, because this is an extremely relevant industry and it will stay relevant for times to come. So just be there with them and just guide them. There are a lot of options available in the market regarding materials and processes and manufacturing and marketing. So just make sure that you are around and you are taking the pulse while you do that. Consumer behavior and segmentation, according to me, is extremely important for fashion. So for whom are you making? That thing has to be very clear in your mind. Then you will be very focused in what you do. And of course, sustainable fashion is the future for all fashion as we talk. So these are the takeaways from my side. I have just put some videos here, and some reading list also, like you can probably you can have a look at them and you can add it to your teaching if you want to use that. And there are some references as well, where some of these things have been very clearly talked about, like from where I have taken this information at some places. So it was indeed a pleasure being with you all. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, Dr. Swati. I'm really happy.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think we can have a question answer session now.
Sure.
So all the YouTube members can also please write your questions in the comment box. I will put it up to ma'am, and rest of you can raise your hands and ask questions.
Sure. Yes, please. Himanshi.
Thank you, Mona ma'am. Thank you very much for the enriching session. Ma'am, I just want you to go back to that slide wherein you have given the YouTube links, ma'am, so that we can have a look at them. We can take a snapshot or maybe.
Sure.
Ma'am, first of all, hang up for me to collect the.
Sorry, Margabandhu, you said something? Okay. Deepika, you have a question?
No, I don't have a question, Mona ma'am. I just wanted to share something. I was in 2002 batch in Lady Owen and you taught me.
Monday.
And it was really a delight to see you again on screen and listening to you. I went back to the college and I
Same
was
here, ma'am.
just reviving those moments. And
Thank
it's
you.
really great to see you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a
And
pleasure
then
for me.
Shalini ma'am said this ना ma'am, sorry to interrupt, ma'am. Shalini ma'am said कि it was interesting session. तो ma'am वो तो हम अपने पुराने time पे आ गए. When we were in
I'm
college,
making
But
this
I
feedback
just
in
hope
the
session of
evening.
yours was
I will
always
check
very
and let you know,
interesting.
Yeah,
ma'am.
but I hope मैंने
You
वो
are a
पुराना
darling.
वाला ही नहीं पढ़ा दिया ना आपको ये तो नहीं लगा ना कि
नहीं
सारा
नहीं ma'am,
topic
you are a
में बैठ
darling
के
ma'am. You
Okay,
have
ma'am.
always
Okay.
been like that.
Okay,
And
नहीं
you
नहीं,
are
it's my
like
pleasure, you know.
amazing session, ma'am.
मतलब
Thank you
believe
so
me,
much.
मैं दिल से ये बात बोल रही हूँ कि I am very happy that fashion studies is being taught at the school level, because मुझे लगता है कि स्कूल में जब 11th 12th के बच्चे होते हैं ना, they are in that stage where you can just mold their careers and you can mold their mindset, you know, at that stage. And it is something जो एक हमारे मन में शुरू से ये रहता है कि fashion is something वो तो कोई भी कर सकता है, you know, जो भी mix and match कर ले, coordinate कर ले, वो fashion designer हो जाता है. But when you teach these things from a perspective that there is a market and there is a, you know, there is a technique and there is a technology involved, believe me, you are making a huge difference in the minds of students to make them understand that fashion is also like a field that needs to be learned, yani, you know. So to me, I think that is extremely important, and I'm happy that you are doing this.
Ma'am, there is a suggestion in the YouTube, though they all are very, you know, thankful for such an informative session.
Yeah.
But there is a person, Shersi, she wants more on digital fashion and NFTs. So maybe we can have a session on that. Maybe in the next round of trainings that we will have, we can have more on digital fashion and NFTs.
Sure, we can do that, because that's a complete domain in itself, you know. I mean, it needs 2 hours to talk about smart textiles and e-fashion and all those things. Definitely.
Yes.
Yes.
And there is another person, ma'am, Abir Sayedji.
Uh-huh.
How is bridge fashion different from knockoff?
How is which fashion?
Bridge.
Bridge, I don't know what is bridge fashion, but knockoffs is definitely, I don't know, Yana, what is a bridge fashion.
I think he might be writing brief fashion. Brief.
Basically, you know, the knockoffs is basically the ones which, you know, like there is a difference between the first copies and there is a difference between knockoffs, you know. I mean, that is what I want to make, that knockoffs is a legal way, you can say, kind of, you know, because you are changing the design in some way and making it, you know, like affordable fashion for people. Whereas when you have your, the fashion which is like first copies, second copies and things like that, they are the ones which are like totally plagiarized things. By the way, there is also a move that even the big houses are now creating the first copy also on their own. And you know, like rather than making it a plagiarized thing, they are taking comparatively cheaper material, cheaper accessories and other things to make the first copy officially. You know,
yes.
So it is also available, where then in that case, if it is my product and I'm making a first copy, it doesn't breach any you know, conditions or any copyright issues. But if somebody else is making it and selling it, then obviously it is a plagiarized design.
Okay, I think that answers your question. If not, please put it on the chat box.
Yeah, sure.
Monica Bakshi is saying that bridge fashion is an adaptation.
Okay.
I think that's what ma'am was also trying to say. First copy, second copy, and then knockoffs. Okay. In the meantime, please do ask your questions. I'm just reading the comments, and you know, if something comes up, I'll let you know.
Sure.
So there is terminology also. So I hope you have placed it in the website, in your PPTs. Again, I want to tell everybody who's listening to me right now, this video is also, this session is being beamed live on YouTube. So we have around 150 participants there also. And you can go back and refer to this video anytime in future, present, anytime. You know, it's going to be there on the site of CBSE. So please do go and refer it. And please do ask your question. I just interrupted, I guess, somebody.
Yeah. If you want to add anything, you know, from your own experience, you want to share some good practice, or, you know, I will be very happy with that as well.
Ma'am, there is somebody from a person, Noor. I think he's from Varanasi. He's saying that when you draw the images on the paper for the model's design, what is the size? I think it is more of illustration, but if you
Yeah.
could
Yeah, it's
answer.
basically we take the 8 head, or for fashion figures, we normally have around 8.5 to 9, Yane. So again, these are the croquis which are already available. And I think one of the videos that I have shared talks about this as well, you know. So normally we have a croquis, which is like basically the outline of the body, and then the garments can be draped on that based on what kind of style you want to create. So every time, and you get these kind of croquis are available, freely available as images. And these are croquis which are static, and they are also moving croquis. So you can just do the sketching on that as part of your own portfolio, you know. I mean, even the students can work on it, that when they are trying to display their design, you should actually ask them to drape a croquis rather than making a flat design. I mean, flat design is all right to make, but once they make it on the croquis, then the actual flow of the whole thing looks. So it's part of illustration, but it can be done, definitely.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am, for that. Can we have some more questions? Anything that needs to be answered, please. This is a very good time. You know, we feel like we are back to our college days, and we have full freedom to ask anything. So anybody who feels like asking anything, so please do go ahead.
Ma'am, can we share?
Mona ma'am,
Hanji, yes, please.
Can I talk?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Gurumurthy ji, pehle aap.
Yeah. I'm from Chennai Chettinad Vidyashram.
Okay.
Actually, my name is Abita, but the website was not opening from that. So I had to log into my dad's ID and then come. Okay, I'm sorry about that.
No.
It's okay,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
I've done my PhD in textiles.
Okay.
When I was reviewing that, I did on comfort qualities of knitted fabric for the sportswear industry.
Right.
That was my topic. So when my professor was speaking about certain details in the recent market, we saw the bamboo fiber coming in and also the milk fiber. Do you think this would come under the wickability quality of the fibers for the comfort level for sportswear industry and active sportswear?
Definitely, you know, like the bamboo fiber, because of the wickability is good. And again, the protein fiber in terms of casein, you know, what you get from the milk is again a new fiber which is in the block. Again, because of their pliability, because of their softness and wickability, these are good options which are available. I just want to say one thing, that, you know, when you have all these new options of fibers which are available to you, many of them are actually at the stage of research as of now, you know. So I mean, making a new fiber is one part, but commercializing that particular thing is another part, you know. So I think there are a lot of things which are now at the moment happening, and like, for example, the 6-7 new fibers that I was talking about, in one part of the world or the other, they are being commercially produced, you know. So and again, we have to look at, like, for example, when we are talking about the bamboo as a fiber, you have to see that the bamboo, whether you want to use it as a fiber for sportswear, or you want to use it as a material for some other end use, you know, where it fits the best. Like, I know bamboo fiber is also being used for you know, making these the sanitary napkins core material.
Yeah,
you know,
they are also mostly used in home textiles.
Home textiles
for
as well.
its
So
absorbency.
yes, so we just, I mean, at the moment, what I feel is that the canvas is open. You have these new products which are coming in, and industry needs to look at the viable solutions of the commercial products that can be made out of these fibers. And I'm sure there's a lot of research going on that as well, because some
Thanks
of the
a lot,
things
ma'am.
might
Thanks
be,
a lot.
yeah.
Well, we can have PhDs for that also, you know, since ma'am I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
I'm Abita.
Abita ji, since you are yourself is a doctorate, so I'm sure you can also lead your students for research into such fibers, and then someday you can share your experience with us. We'll be more than happy to have that.
Sure, ma'am. Sure, Swati, ma'am. Sure.
Can I add one thing, Swati, here, that, you know, I just feel that another thing that is very seriously needed, you know, at the school level as of now is research-based projects, you know. We have to inculcate the habit of doing research at the school level.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I'm sure each one of you is bright enough to see that which topic of your whole curriculum could be dealt with a research-based project, you know.
Exactly.
And now the students can actually go to the net, they can find out, they can go to the libraries, they should get into the habit of doing research before they come out with anything, you know. So the rote learning and other things is now the past, you know. And especially in a creative field like fashion studies, I mean, we have to make sure that things are done differently. I mean, I strongly believe in that.
I mean, one of my projects in the creative projects which I give to my students, there was a student who made an accessory, ma'am, a necklace and earrings. I mean, a complete set using noodles.
Oh,
wow! So, right, and that was amazing. Nobody, even I took so much time and I analyzed so much. Then only I could make out. Nobody else was able to, like, we were not able to judge. Right? It was dry noodles, and she just used, the sprays, the golden sprays and everything. It was a totally different product.
Right.
I would say. So I can share those someday maybe.
No, that's a good one, Himanshi. Thank you. I think we have Arunima ji. Do you want to say something or ask something?
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to share an experience. Like ever since we switched to this online teaching, I started, giving small assignments, research-based assignments on every topic that I was teaching, and I saw that students were doing really well because they had these gadgets every time in their hands, so they were very easily and quickly able to access the internet. So as soon as I used to assign the topics, within half an hour, I used to, receive very amazing submissions. All these research-based they used to, find on internet. So I experienced that they are able to, explore the internet and find content. So every single topic was a research-based topic.
Yes.
Great.
I just want
Yes, ma'am, please go
One
ahead.
more thing I just want to add, while we are talking and we are talking about students, because whichever level the students are going to join the industry or they are going to go for higher learning or whatever, I think one more thing that we need to teach as teachers is the teamwork, because wherever they go, they can never be working alone. So I mean, from the school days, they have to understand that they need to work in groups. So again, try to create some assignments which are group based,
Yes.
Again, when I say group based, I mean, again, there is a complete rubric which is required to see that as a team, what is the role of each member. We need to see how you are evaluating each member so that it is not like you are piggy banking on, on one and just one person does that, other do nothing. I mean, as teachers, we need to think about that because believe me, with my experience of working at different levels, nobody works alone. So I mean, a fashion industry specifically needs a lot of teamwork, and like in a complete supply chain, you need to know everybody, how you work together, pattern making, everything is required, So just get into the habit of giving them some group projects as well.
Yes, ma'am. I would like to add on. Yes. Like now we have employability skills as well included in our curriculum.
Yes.
So teamwork and all these topics are there that we teach both classes 11th and 12th. So I have combined these topics like my subject skills and these employability skills topic, and I've given and they did well. They were showing, they were making efforts and they really did well.
Good.
That's good. Thank you so much, Arunima ma'am, for your inputs. Ma'am, two questions on the YouTube.
Yes, please.
One is, can cyanotype printing come under sustainable way of printing?
Cyanotype printing?
Can come under sustainable way of printing.
Let me just see, Anne. I'm not sure, to be very honest.
Okay, the second question I'll put up. Ma'am, explain some ethical issues related with fashion industry, which you have done.
I have already covered, Anne. Yes.
Yes, which you have already done. So I would request Sanjeev ji to please go back and see the video. It is already done very beautifully by ma'am in one of her slides.
Yeah, as I can see, the cyanotype printing is something which is happening in terms of photographic printing, which is taking place in indigo blue and these kind of colors. So again, it can come as a type of sustainable printing if we are taking the dyes which are natural and we are using it from that perspective. And if you use if you use it only as an aesthetic and you're using some other chemical dyes and other things, maybe not. But if you are using natural dyes, then definitely you can. I mean, if you are using natural mordants and then you are using the indigo dyeing like we do for Dabu and we do for Ajrak and so many other, naturally dyed Indian textiles, I'm sure it can be termed as a
sort of sustainable
dye. Yes.
Because all right. So I think we have covered all the questions that have come. So we can I can just ask anybody else if they want to have any more questions, or else we'll close up the session.
Yes.
Any more questions, please?
Good afternoon, madam.
Yes, Saloni ji, please.
From Selvakutti, madam, EMRS school. Actually,
Yes.
I'm new about fashion technology, but I have learned so many things today in this session. About which I liked most is reuse, refuse, reduce, and recycle, where I can inform my children like what kind of textiles we are using and how to use them, how to reuse and recycle also. This is very wonderful session, I can say, madam, and informative also. Thank you, Mona ma'am, for giving us a valuable information, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so I think we can close up the session.
Sure.
And any queries, if they are left, I'm sure they must be answered completely. But then you can always, put it on the WhatsApp, or you can send me the queries. I'll forward it to ma'am. With this, I would really thank Mona ma'am for her patience and her strength for taking such a long session and without any break in between. You actually transported all of us back to our college times. I guess somewhere we felt that we are just, sitting on the chair and you're teaching using a blackboard or something. So thank you so much for finding time. And it is indeed an honor to have you here, ma'am. And we look forward for more sessions with you.
Inshallah. Sure. Thank you very much, Dr. Swati. It was a pleasure, Yani.
Thank you, ma'am. For all the participants, I would request you please don't log off. Just keep your computer on hand, because we have a second session going to start in another 5 minutes. So take 5 minutes break, and then we will join back. Don't log off. Otherwise, getting back into Gmeet is also a trouble. You need to have an entry. Please attend both the sessions, because you're going to have an assessment after that. So
Swati, can you tell us what about the assessment? How do we log in for assessment, please?
Ma'am, you will be getting it in your registered email IDs. That's what I was coming to. So whenever your both sessions are done, go back to your emails, check, you will get an email from us, and within 2 hours you need to submit that assessment back to us. Be as honest, as genuine, I'm sure we all are. So we can finish that assessments on time, and please send it on time before 2 hours gets over, because after that it gets really difficult to collect the data. So with this, we'll just go back to sleep for some time.
I would take a leave. I will take your leave. You can discuss. Yani.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you
Mona
very
ma'am.
much, everybody. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Stay safe. Stay healthy. Keep on spreading happiness.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Swati ma'am, I have a query. When we have to submit the assessment, will there be a link to submit it, or we have to mail it back as it is sent?
Actually, the assessment is in a Google form link that will be mailed to you. The link will be mailed to you. You just need to fill it and send it. Click it.
So, and secondly, the earlier update was that our second session was to start from 2 to 4. So now is the schedule changed? So if you can apprise us, so we know from when to when it's there.
Just give me a moment, ma'am. I'll just confirm and then get back. Just give me.
Sure.
It was from 12 to 2, I suppose.
I think, ma'am, there is some misunderstanding. It was supposed to start at 12:05. We are already over time. So you please refer to the circular that is uploaded on the website of CBSE. You will find the details there. We are just expecting our next resource person to join in. So I just take a few more. I'll just come back in for a few minutes.
Swati ma'am, I just need a small doubt to be cleared.
Sure.
Ma'am, I actually logged in my dad's account as I told you, but the assessment I can do it in that name of mine where I got it registered. Is it okay?
Yes, yes, definitely, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
And whenever you are putting up your attendance, don't worry about your dad's email ID. Just put your real name.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Sorry, Swati ma'am. I just wanted to confirm till when is our second session? Actually, I'm traveling, so I need to make some arrangements, cab pickup
Ma'am,
and
see,
everything.
the session will get over around 2 o'clock and we will be distributing assessments thereafter, maybe in 15-20 minutes. You will get it through your Gmails. And then around 4:30, we are expecting the assessments to be completed.
All right, ma'am. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Ma'am, we have a 5 minutes break now.
Yes, ma'am. Please take 5-10 minutes break and just come back.
Hello, ma'am. I have a doubt. I put it in the chat box. Please check.
Ma'am, please do come back by 12:30. All of you, please come back by 12:30 because the second expert is here with us. So I would want this session to be started. How long will the assessment times are open from for 2 hours? And how many questions? When you will see the assessment form, you will get it, because we are not, this is not a board examination. This is just an assessment so that we know that you people are, the whatever was, brought to you in this session, you have been able to understood it. And if not, then we can have a gap analysis and we can have another sessions for that particular topic. So this is not about examination. This is just
I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm asking you again. It would.
Rachna ji,
Yes.
1 minute, ma'am.
Yes,
Can I just finish my,
okay, Rachna ji, please wait. Razia ji, please go on.
Yeah, this is reason for asking is timing here is different. Yeah, I'm in Dubai here, so timing is different. So I'll be leaving from school. So I'll be on the way, I think, till I reach home. So when I reach home, maybe my assessment time will be over. So that is the reason I asked, how much time will it take for me to complete my assessment?
Ma'am, we don't have many questions, just 10 or 12 questions, odd questions, that's it.
So by 12:30, if it starts, maybe in half an hour, it should get over, right? Because the timing will be different. And if
12:30, we are starting with the second session and the...
No, I mean to say here, my timing 12:30. Now it's only 11 for me.
11, okay. So by, I think 1 o'clock, by your time, the session should get over and then we will definitely send the assessment links as soon
immediately if possible. Yeah, immediately. Otherwise, I'll be logging out, and then by the time I reach home, maybe the assessment time
we
will
will
be
take
over.
care of that, ma'am. Don't worry.
Thank you so much.
Okay, there was another person, Rachna ji.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, Swati ma'am, I'm asking you again. We'll be getting the Google form, right?
Google form, yeah.
We just need to submit the form, and that's it, right?
Fill up your answers, your details, and then just press the button submit.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah. So I think if everybody is here, so can we start with the second session?
Sure, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Just check on the YouTube what is the scenario like, and then we would just ask everybody to please come back and join the session. Another 2-3 minutes I'm giving you so that you can come. We have already overstayed our time, so we need to rush. So okay, so they're pretty good people. Okay, so I think we can start with the second session. It is going to be taken by Gagandeep Kaur, as I've introduced in the morning. So I have introduced her in the morning, and then I will not repeat the introduction because we are already getting late. So Gagan, if you could want to say something, you please go ahead, and then you can start with the session.
Yeah, so am I audible, Dr. Swati?
Yes, absolutely, but not visible.
Yeah, I'm just facing some network issues. Give me a minute. I'll just switch on the video as well. Just
it's your choice. It's your choice.
No. I would love to do that. Yeah, just one moment.
Yeah. Requesting all to please mute your mics because it do get into interferes with the session, and there are people who are not able to hear it. and stay till the end of the session for better performance in your assessments. So,
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. So we are beginning with the second session now, and thank you, Mona Suri ma'am. You have covered all the points so beautifully, and I think some of the points would be overlapping today, tomorrow, but for tomorrow, yes, the points would be taken care of, that there should not be any overlapping. So first of all, for today, we would be covering the topics fashion and adornment, and then the other topic which we would be covering in this session would be that the fashion capitals, existing fashion capitals, and how now India is emerging to become the one. So these are the terms which we have heard, we have discussed in the morning session as well. But yes, we can take these terms once again, because these are the terms being from the fashion fraternity. I think during the day itself, we repeat the term fashion and adornment many times. So just a quick recap for the term fashion and adornment. So fashion, as we have already discussed in the morning, this is a style or a trend which is accepted at a mass level. So just one, and adornment, this is another term which is beautifying oneself either by wearing trendy clothes and decorating body. So I remember when I started teaching the topic adornment, I used to feel that how this kind of makeup or this, or maybe the uncomfortable type of a clothing, how this can be a part of an adornment. But yes, while I heard Dr. Mona Suri in the morning, and I was highly convinced, and I have been telling myself that adornment is, there is no fixed definition for this term. So it basically depends upon the social and the cultural conditions where we are residing. So yes, looking at this particular picture, we may find this picture as peculiar, but for this particular society and the person, this is a adornment. So adornment is basically accepting oneself and beautifying oneself by either the clothes or by working on the body parts. So another term is the fashion. I think that is more or less a common term for all of us. Fashion is more than just clothing. Again, this was discussed in the morning session, that it's not only about the clothing. If we talk about the electronics, home appliances, carpets, automobile industry, every area requires fashion. Fashion means trend, fashion means designing, fashion means innovative ideas. So it's more than just clothing, and it reflects the aesthetics, design, and trends in contemporary society. So moving ahead then, we in class 12th, we have topic adornment, and under adornment, we cover geisha girls, kayans, Chinese foot bindings, pauline, corsets, breeches, circular lip plates, tattooing, and scarification. So we have talked about it, that there are so many topics, and we keep teaching, and since so many years all of us are teaching, we don't need any fresh revision for these topics. But yes, we would be taking two of these in quite in detail, 2 or 3 of them. So all of them more or less we see that they carry some significance. So some significance, for example, for the geisha girls, the makeup that was purely for the beauty, and for the kayans, elongating the neck was by using the neck rings, and again that was the symbol of a beauty. So we would be taking first of all geisha girls in detail. And the geisha girls, they used to belong to Japan, and there were many misconceptions which were attached with them. So first of all, let us understand their particular costume, and the costume which they wear is a Japanese traditional costume, and we all know that this costume is called as kimono. So earlier, now what used to happen, this kimono used to have 12 layers, which made the movement of a geisha quite cumbersome. But that was the requirement during that time, because more the layers of the clothes of the garment, more the status a geisha used to enjoy. And there were misconceptions that these are the sex workers or they're into prostitution. But with more and more research, it was made clear that geishas more or less were the entertainers, for the elite class of the society. So now another part which is an important part of geisha's kimono is the obi. So obi is basically a sash. It works like a waist belt. So it ties the complete fabric at the end, because we can believe when a person who is wearing 12 layers of clothing, so it used to have lot of volume. So to tie the whole volume at the waist, they need to have a sash, and this particular sash used to called as a obi, and the fabric of a obi was supposed to be luxurious, slippery and silky. And then another characteristic feature for the geisha was their hairstyle. So this hairstyle is called as shimada. So again, this used to be very elaborate, and elaborate in a way that it was not a daily chore for them, that daily morning they are standing in front of the mirror and tying their hair and making a bun. Because once it is made, it was a job of hours. So they used to retain it for weeks, and they used to have a special pillows which they used to keep under their neck area, and they used to sleep very carefully so that it does not move here and there. So these are the few terms. Of course, all of us know what geisha are, and we have been teaching them. All of us are experienced in teaching this subject for so many years. But yes, these are the terms which I felt that they are not there in the book, and they carry the significance. So it's important that if we can share some extra information with our students. So for today's topic, one more thing which we are trying to connect here is that how the past fashion is also traveling to our present time, but with some modifications. How the tribal fashion is actually moving to a contemporary urban life with some modifications and amendments, because we can't take them as it is, because the times are changing. So here we can see that the geisha's costume and hairdo in the past, the traditional kimono was 12 layers, and they, in the Japanese language, they call this as juni hito, and juni itself means 12 layers. But in the present time, the kimono is still there. That's a part of their custom, that's a part of their rituals, that's a part of their kimono is basically not only for the geisha, but that's a part of every Japanese woman. So now these 12 layers have been reduced as per the comfort of the wearer. Second thing, the garment is fastened is with the obi. Again, the obi is a sash. It's like a waist belt. So obi was quite wide and was quite stiff, and that sometimes used to hinder the walking and even the sitting up and down of the geisha. But nowadays, again, this has been simplified. So number of ties and accessories are used to keep the kimono in place, and now more or less obi has become a decorative accessory. So they make sure that nice silk fabrics are used for making the obi, but the purpose is now more of a decoration. The third thing is that the elaborate version of the shimada. So as I just mentioned, that it was so heavy that that was another task for the geisha of taking care of so much of weight on the head. But yes, now the hairstyle has also been simplified. So in this picture specifically, we can see that traditionally this was the way, and they used to, if we go through the specific websites, we can see that there is a sequential order, that how they used to have a shimada, how the hair from the right side, left side, then tying up. So it is a sequential steps how the shimada used to be done. And if we see that in contemporary times, we have a similar hairstyle, and this looks so beautiful. So from all these knowledge, or from all these research, we can find out that fashion never dies. It just changes with the time. Because what is fashion? Basically, it has to be accepted by the masses. So we have been discussing since morning, because something which I have designed, but if nobody is wearing it, nobody is liking it, that won't be called as fashion. So to make it acceptable for the present time, we need to have some changes. So this is one comparison that how Shimada now has been transformed for the present or the contemporary times. So Geisha is still preferring, or in some societies they are still forced to have the Shimada only, and they have to endure the wait, and they have no specific choice basically to transform the hairstyles. There are still some such societies, but yes, with the changing times, there are some flexibility, and the things are being accepted as well. So moving ahead, so next type of adornment which we have been talking about in class 12 is tattooing. So in tattooing, there is one specific tribe which has been named in class 12, which is practicing tattooing widespread. So can we just recall, there are one or two tribes which are given in class 12th book, which are these tribes which are still practicing tattooing, or they were practicing for a very long time. So can we quickly recall which are these tribes?
Ma'am, is it Garo tribe?
Garo tribe is not mentioned in class 12 book, but yes, definitely they are practicing tattooing. Thank you for your efforts and answer. Anybody else? A name which is given in class 12 textbook?
Japanese Yakuza.
Yes, Japanese Yakuza. Thank you so much. So first of all, we can understand what is tattoo as a whole. So tattoo is a form of body modification, and that is made by inserting inks or dyes, and so in some societies there are permanent dyes. For example, if once inserted, there is a complete change of the color of the body part, and there are in some societies they are preferring the temporary colors as well. So tattoo is basically a form of a body modification by inserting the colors to the specific part of the body. Now the question comes, what is the significance of tattooing? Because we have seen even in the contemporary times, even in fact if I talk about my family itself, it won't be acceptable in one go. So there is still stigma associated with the tattooing. So what is that stigma? So in Japan, especially the Yakuza tribe, there are two views which are there for the Yakuza, but the most prevalent viewpoint is that the Yakuza tribe were the people from this tribe, they were basically anti-social people. They did not want to follow what are the social norms, and they were into the mafia group, or we can say in a simple word, they were from the class of criminal class, and they used to believe that if they are doing the crime also, they are doing for the good. So they have always carried a pride even in their wrongdoings. So there are two views that if they were doing wrong also, they were actually doing wrong to protect the good. But there is another view also that they went so much anti-social that it became unacceptable in the society. So tattooing was their way of distinguishing themselves from others in the society. So, and they were not acceptable in the society because of their actions, because of their anti-social actions. So that was the reason, this is the reason that why tattoo is still carrying the stigma. Today also, there are so many societies, I won't mind stating that even in my family, in one go, tattoo would not be acceptable as it is. So the stigma is still attached, and stigma has a history. And the history is that the Yakuza tribe people, they were basically the anti-social people. So the significance of the tattooing, in some societies, this was a type of a punishment for the criminals. So that was a painful process. And one thing, that the person should feel the pain because he has done the crime. Another thing, a person should be differentiated from other civilians in the society. The second significance of the tattooing, that it was a source of a pride for the warriors. Third, a proof of courage and identification for mobsters. Fourth, a way for the popular class to express themselves against repression. So I think from all these 4 points also we can make out that there are different viewpoints. Some are accepting it, some are giving the disapproval to the tattooing. Now coming specifically to the tattooing in Japan, because we need to connect this topic with a class 12th text. So the types of tattooing in Japan, the oldest is called as tiburi, and there were no electrical machines during those times. They used to do it with the hand, with the wood, with the bamboo sticks only, and they used to insert the color. And another older method in the for the tattoo in Japan is called as irizumi. So irizumi was basically tattooing the whole body, even covering the genitals. So that was basically a tattoo done for the punishment purpose for the criminals. So this is how the irizumi was different from the tiburi. So irizumi had a specific, conscious, deliberate purpose of distinguishing the criminals from the civilians, and how they were distinguished, the whole body was tattooed, even the genitals. So the people of Yakuza tribe, and they had been very famous Japanese mafia, and they used to stamp their whole body. So just a one-liner that who are the Yakuza? They are involved in criminal activities such as prostitution, organized gambling, and all other antisocial activities. So now again, जितना भी ये एंटी सोशल रहा हो, जितना भी इसके साथ स्टिग्मा अटैच रहा हो, it hasn't died. It has still traveled to the present times. If we look at our today's generation, for them it's a decoration, for them it's an adornment, and they look nice also if it is done from the perspective of an adornment only. So in the past we can see that many Yakuza have full body tattoos, including their genitalia. So these tattoos known as irizumi in Japan, and the ink used to be inserted their skin using the non-electrical appliances. So, and it used to be quite painful, and it used to take a lot of time as well. But in present day time, it's merely carrying one purpose, that is decorative purpose, and people are getting it done for the personal adornment only. So what we need to understand, I think before I say what we need to understand, what I have made myself understand it, I used to think that 16 years back when I started teaching, I used to think हिस्ट्री ऑफ फैशन की इतनी क्या सिग्निफिकेंस है, ये क्यों पढ़ाना है, आज की जनरेशन ने थोड़ा सा पढ़ा दिया, बहुत है. सो आई माई सेल्फ हैड मेड माई convinced or understand that it is actually the history which gives birth to today's fashion, and that is the explanation I think all of us as teachers keep giving to our students also, because this is one chapter, history of fashion, which I think most of our students, they have less likability for this chapter. So in fact, when my students also ask, history kyun padhni hai, itna purana kyun padhna hai? So I think now I convincingly tell them, because aisa nahi hai jo past mein tha wo aaj ho nahi raha hai. In fact, we have learned from our past only. So tattooing again means this is something which touch their spirits. If we give them the example कि तुम्हें tattooing कराना अच्छा नहीं लगता, opportunity मिलेगी, कराओगे नहीं कराओगे, तो कहाँ से आई है ये tattooing? So this is how connecting the topics and connecting the dots. Maybe this is how we can connect with the students, and the topics can be made relatable, interesting, and the chapter which they least like, maybe they start liking it more. So this is about the Yakuza tattooing, and then just one pictorial about the tattooing, so we can just have a quick recapitulation regarding it. So now, what is tiburi? So tiburi looks like something like this. This is a Japanese method of hand tattooing using a slender bamboo or metal tool with the needle grouping attached to the tip.
Irizumi, this is how it looks like. We can see the complete body is tattooed. And in fact, while researching more, again and again, it's mentioned that even the genitals were tattooed. So it is the Japanese word for tattoo, and in English, it is referred to distinctive style of Japanese tattoo. And yes, this is a term which we are now using it in our daily life as well. And I think we all can see this, and this looks beautiful to the eyes as well. This is the contemporary style of tattooing, which is now merely carrying the purpose of personal adornment only. So this was just a recapitulation for all the three terms. Then as we have seen that the CBSE is now carrying the aim, there is a purpose behind whatever we are teaching, and even in the circular I could see the line that now there should be effort from all of us, from the teaching fraternity, to transform rote learning to learning by doing approach. Even for today's circular, for the today's training session, I especially read that line twice, thrice, and I think we all know that. So now how can we practice that learning by doing approach in the classrooms? And I'm very sure that all of us are already doing that. So I'll be sharing some of the work done by students. So in this specific presentation, the child has researched on the embroidery, traditional embroidery of the Punjab, that is fulkari. And we all know that fulkari has been used only for the ceremonial purposes, and it is ceremonial dupatta for that special occasion only. But in contemporary times, no longer fulkari is restricted to dupattas only. We can find them on articles like juttis, portly bags, cushion covers, and whatnot. In fact, even there are so many couturiers and designers who are actually working on the high-end juttis and using the fulkari as the medium. So just to share the work of the student and how we can connect the past with the present and how we can engage students with the history of the fashion. So maybe few seconds and it will be ready to be played. I hope audio is there. Please kindly confirm.
Yes, it is there.
Ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So this was one example that how we can connect the past or the traditional with the present time. So we all, I think, recognize and we wish to adorn ourselves with the fulkari dupatta, and how this beautiful embroidery now is used for the contemporary purposes. Beautiful juttis, cushion covers, portly bags, and there is an endless list. And this is how we feel the importance of the traditional styles or the products used in the history. Another effort by the student, and definitely which help us to connect with the past with the present. So again, this was the research on the hippie culture, and finally the student designed the clothing for herself by taking the inspiration from the hippie culture. So she designed, she got it stitched, and she wore it as well. So this is the presentation, and this is the student herself on the first slide, and then definitely all the details, that who are the hippies, what are the characteristics. And because so much of intense research was done, that is why it became possible to design clothing by making some changes and to make it wearable for today's time. Because we all know, again, the hippies were not very acceptable in our society. Again, they were the antisocial group of a society. But yes, their colorful clothing, their anti-fit clothes, they have become so much, the style has become so much acceptable. Why? Because the efforts have been done to connect the past with the present. So this is the designing done by the student. I think she stitched it also herself and then modeled it also. So this is how the child feels connected also with the topic, and the things become more interesting. So now moving ahead, so this was the inspiration. This was the picture of a hippie woman, and this is the picture of the student who has actually done the research on it. The third example, the research was done on Aptani tribe. So this is a tribe which is still existing in Arunachal Pradesh. So here the women, they use a nose plugs, and the notion behind the nose plugs, the uncomfortable, the large nose plugs, was that they used to have the farming as their main occupation, and there was a belief that the women they have a danger of being kidnapped by the another tribe. So one view is that but there are two views while doing the research. That the one was to make them feel ugly so that the men from the other tribe do not come and kidnap them easily. The another view is that this is how they carry the pride. They have started feeling that this is the way they have to adorn themselves. They have started identifying themselves with this. So again, the understanding from this is that we may find it that it's not pleasant to the eyes. We may find it that it's impractical. But the people who are following it with the passage of time, because when it started, when this culture started, this started with this was like an imposition on a woman that she has to wear such nose plugs, because otherwise she has a threat from the men of another tribe of being kidnapped. But lately, with the passage of time, woman has now accepted it. But as we could see from this video, this woman has clearly stated that she is the now last, she's the woman of the last generation, because now the upcoming generation doesn't want to get into this tradition, because now even from the people from the tribal society, they're moving to the urban places. They're coming to the urban places to study, to work, and they feel that coming to the Mumbai, Delhi, or any other metropolitan city or any city, this would make them feel out of the crowd, and this is not something going to be acceptable and comfortable for them. So now this is the last existing generation who is practicing it, and after this will become complete history. Today, in fact, today at least we are saying traditional versus present, contemporary. But I think after 5-6 years, 3-4 years, हम सभी बोल रहे होंगे history versus present. So again, we can see that the Aptani tribal woman, she has the nose plugs on both the side, and we can see an urban woman with a beautiful nose piece. So from where have this inspiration come? Such nose pins are sought after. I think many of us who love to adorn with the jewelry looks for such nose pins. These are sought after. So from where did this inspiration come? So this inspiration directly has come from such tribal trends, associations, and one of them is Aptani tribe. So now all these efforts or all these discussions have been made actually to meet the aim of that all whatever we are teaching, are we in the accordance with the national education policy? Why? Because national education policy aims of transforming a rote learning to learning by doing approaches. And why are we doing that? Why can't we stay with the rote learning only? We are doing that because we want to ensure that our students are ready to deal with the real life situations. The more they will do it with their understanding, with their more research, with their hands, the more things would become acceptable, the more they would be strengthened to face the society and become more better learned person. So whatever has been discussed so far was actually, and whatever would be discussed further also, the aim is that we all are synced, we all are aligned with national education policy, and ultimate aim is to impart the best best education to the students by implying the easy and understandable strategies. So this was about the fashion and adornment which we thought of covering it today. The next thing which we are going to start today for today's topic is Big Four fashion capitals. Again, we talked about these capitals, these names in our morning session also, and all of us are teaching since so many years. हम सबको पता है London, Paris, New York, Milan. What are they famous for, and how have they strived to become the fashion capitals? Why other cities are not? Why these four are only called as fashion capitals? But